All right, welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 87. We are out today at Eudora Wildlife Safari Park here in Sally, South Carolina, which is just about a little over an hour away from Charleston, South Carolina. So if you are in the South Carolina Low Country, the mid-state, or even the upper state, or the surrounding states, you definitely need to make it a priority to come out to Eudora Farms. And we're here with Shelby Nisbet, who grew up on the farm.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to get her story today. So Shelby, thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming out. It's a
Absolutely.
great day today. Nice
perfect weather.
Not too hot.
And Shelby did hook me up with some peacocks. You got, if you're a listener, you know I like my guineas, but we got peacocks from Shelby. And you will hear guineas in the background. You'll hear peacocks in the background, other animals. You'll hear the safari music. So we're right in the experience right now.
Yes, sir.
So Shelby, take us back to kind of where your earliest memories growing up at Eudora Farms. What was that kind of like?
So like when we first started out here when I was little, we only had 30 acres. So now our farm right now currently is 200 acres.
Okay.
So we started out with 30 acres. We had a couple ponies, we had a couple Highlander cows, and we had a camel named Bubba. And Bubba, my dad got him as a baby, bottle raised him, taught him how to ride. And when my mom and dad got married, he actually walked her down the aisle on Bubba.
Really?
And Bubba was only 3 years old, and he only had 3 rides prior to that. So my mom was scared to death. But he did good, and Bubba's what really kind of shot our farm up. He did movies. He was part of Dear John.
Really?
All the animals that were in that movie were our animals. And then he did camel rides all over, did the Christmas activities. And so that kind of started our festivals. That's what we started out with, a petting zoo, educational petting zoo. So we had just a camel, a couple cows, llamas, that kind of stuff. We didn't have nothing super exotic at the time. And after that, our petting zoo, we started getting asked to go to the more bigger fairs, like your state fairs, your big county fairs. And then after a couple years, probably in 2012, we became the #1 petting zoo in the country. We did the New York State Fair, Illinois State Fair, the Georgia National. Those are some big fairs that we do, and so that's what really kind of gave us that push. And the funniest part, people always ask my dad, they're like, well, how'd you get into the exotics and stuff? Well, Daddy originally worked for LabCorp. He sold books and sold that kind of stuff, and then he showed Akitas, the big bear dogs.
Yeah, exactly,
and so they asked us all the time too, how do we get our name? And he lived in Mississippi for a little time, and he had to come up with a kennel name for the dog shows and stuff. And so he lived on Eudora Street. And he said, well, we'll just call the kennel Eudora Farms. And then after that, it kind of stuck, and then he was always obsessed with animals, so got a few guineas. That's where it always starts. And then he got a couple cows and miniature donkeys and stuff. And then it just went from there. And he got laid off at LabCorp in 2002.
Okay.
And so that really kind of pushed to go do the petting zoos and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he really got into it, which kind of caused some rift in our family because my parents ended up divorcing in 2014.
Okay.
And so then Daddy really just jumped into it, and then we started having 2 units that travel simultaneously.
You guys were in South Carolina at the time? You were right here?
Yep.
Okay.
I grew up here, born and raised here, and then Dad stayed here, and we chose to stay with our daddy. We was like, nope, we're staying here. We don't want to be away from the animals.
Yeah.
But
so you'd have these teams that went out and traveled around for the petting zoos.
Yeah, and it, like we try to tell people, it's not your average petting zoo. It's not just a couple panels and then your animals all in mixed up stuff. Daddy really, his big thing is to make it a masterpiece on the fairgrounds. When you see it, you know it's nice and clean. So he has ponds that go out in front of our petting zoo, and then he has these big palm trees that go in there. We use bamboo to decorate, and then it has sidewalls that kind of look like a jungle. And then each animal, they have their own enclosure, and then they have their own signage. So that way you can read about them, learn about them, hear about some of their environmental stuff that people are doing to try to protect some of these animals that we have.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the big thing for him, is he wants to make sure it's educational, not just your average petting zoo.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about the animals themselves here in a minute, but before we get there, I know COVID took a big toll on you guys, right?
Oh, yes, sir. So Daddy always had the dream, and like most people, we have big dreams, but we're not sure we're ever going to get there.
Yeah.
And so once 2020 hit, it was February, March, when COVID started shutting down fairs, and they were a little worried about what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daddy was like, okay, well, hopefully they'll open back up in the summer. We still have some of our contracts that are still standing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes around May, they all start shutting down all the way out to October. And so Daddy, we were really worried because we had all these animals, no income coming in. So luckily he was a great saver throughout the years and saved a lot of money, but we ended up selling chain link fences, our gates. Daddy was like, Shelby, you're probably gonna have to go work at the Piggly Wiggly.
You're like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna figure this out.
And so me, my brother, and some of our close family friends, we all pushed Daddy. We was like, Daddy, you need to open the park.
Yeah.
And Daddy was like, no, I'm not opening it. It's not ready. It's nowhere near ready. We only have probably 40, 50 animals out here. It's not what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, Daddy, we don't have a choice. If you're going to either have to start selling them or we're going to have to do something. And so we planned Mother's Day weekend of 2020 was like, okay, well, that'll be the weekend we open. So that Friday before that Saturday, Daddy literally drove out there with a lawnmower and cut a path with a lawnmower.
Really?
Through the pastures.
What?
And he was like, if we can get 20 to 30 cars, that'll be plenty to pay our bills to get us by until the fairs start opening.
Yeah.
Well, that first weekend we had 300 cars. And then after
the bills
that,
were paid.
Yeah, after that, we had that next weekend, it took 3 hours just to get to our main gate. And then another 3 hours to get through the park. And it was a big blessing at the time, and all that we made from that went right back into building stuff. We built our new admission building, we built the new petting zoo area, the parakeet adventure, everything out there, and brought in some new animals. Mm-hmm. So it really took off, but we weren't happy with the big crowds. Because big crowds, that means people are waiting. The public gets a little upset sitting in their car. It's 100 and something degrees outside. And then the animals, we didn't have a whole bunch. So we opened at 9 o'clock. About 10 o'clock, they were full.
I was about to say they're full, so they're just sitting there.
And so people drove all the way from 2, 3, 4 hours away to come to the park, and all the animals are laying down. So they were not happy about that. But the best way we could explain it to them was like, hey, well, you go to Thanksgiving, you get a big meal. What's the first thing you're going to do after that big meal? You can go take a nap.
Yeah.
And so that's what they would do. So then after 2 o'clock, they would come back up, and they were ready to eat again.
Yeah.
So our morning crowd and our evening crowd, they were the ones that kind of really got the experience of it. And then now we hear stories all the time. We have people that haven't been out here since 2020, and they come back and they're amazed with how much it's grown and how big the park's gotten now, and how much it's a lot easier to go through now because you're not bumper to bumper.
Right.
And they really enjoy it. And
there's a lot of animals there too.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
giraffes coming out now.
Yeah.
Might see some giraffes if you're watching the video version in the background.
Yeah.
And you guys can come to Eudora Farms and experience all this yourself. You can do the drive-through of the safari areas, and then they have the walking areas that you can check out
we
too.
just started our twilight rides.
Okay.
And so that's just like offering a different way for you to see the park. And the twilight rides, you own a wagon, you have your tour guide, but you're the only people out there in the park.
Oh, there's no cars going through?
No other cars going
really?
through, and you kind of get the silhouettes, and it's a different feel out in the park because after that time our animals, they know it's over.
Right.
So then they really kind of spread out, they get into their herds, and you get to see them kind of move throughout the fields and stuff, and it's really neat experience to see it in that type of lighting.
Absolutely. Do they like have their own bed down areas?
Yeah, they do.
Each herd will
a lot
go
of them during that time they're out grazing and stuff, so really if you're there for the excitement of feeding and doing that kind of stuff, then the twilight ride might not be the best thing for you.
Right.
But the twilight ride, you just have a few less animals coming up to your car because they're really just doing their own thing, and you can kind of feel like you're seeing them in their natural habitat, what they would be doing in the wild.
Yeah, that's super cool. Now, before we get into the different individual animals themselves, what about predators? Do you guys have any predator issue out here?
No, Daddy, our one rule is if it can eat us, we will not have it.
Yeah.
So anything can kill you, from a horse, cow, bee, any of that. So that's one thing my dad always says is anything can kill you, but we're not going to have anything that can eat us.
Right.
And then also, like with big cats and stuff like that, that just brings PETA and that kind of stuff. And we don't want enclosure animals.
Yeah.
The enclosure animals that we do have were the ones we already originally had.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to build them something really nice, but we don't plan on adding to those enclosures.
Any issues though with like coyotes trying to get through your fencing to the animals at all?
No, most of the time with hoof stock, it keeps that kind of stuff away. So when we first originally were out here, we had a big problem with rattlesnakes. And then once Daddy started getting the donkeys and stuff, they learned really quick to get out of here.
Really?
And then we had a few coyote problems, but then the zebras and stuff. I remember one time we were out here, and it was before we had the regular fencing. It was just wooden fence.
Okay.
And coyote came under, and he was coming into the pasture. Well, our stud zebra seen him, but the coyote didn't see the zebra.
Uh-oh.
And he came flying across that pasture, and the coyote finally realized, and he tried to get underneath that fence. That zebra grabbed him, yanked him back in, stomped
Holy
him, killed
cow.
him, and went about his business.
Nice.
And we were like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not going to have no more coyote problems.
So the zebras are the main guardians.
Oh, they are, and the emus.
Oh, the emus.
The emus,
What do
too.
they do?
They'll stomp stuff too.
Really?
If they weren't raised with it, they'll get rid of it too.
Okay.
And that's just because they're a prey animal, so they want to
yeah.
protect themselves and predators
Yeah.
from getting to them. But yeah, we've had a couple of them that we've raised, and we turned out with the goats, and they try to attack the goats.
Oh,
and
really?
we're like, oh, no, you're not living with goats. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, do the emus like sleep on the ground?
Yeah, they'll lay down. The big ones that you'll see a lot of people find interesting is the ostriches, because they kind of lay over here by the walkthrough exhibit, so you'll get to see them laying down, and they have their heads tucked under them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then some of our female ostriches, they're gray, so they'll go lay in the dirt, and you won't even realize that they're there
Oh, really? They
until
just blend
you're
in?
within 20 feet of them. Then you're like, holy crap, there's an ostrich right there. But yeah, and then they've been laying eggs, and this was our first year we've been successful with our ostriches laying and actually hatching
Oh,
their
wow.
own eggs.
You're
So-
incubating them, or they're hatching
No,
them
they're
themselves?
hatching them on their own.
Okay.
With ostriches, it's a lot different than our emus and our rheas, because we can incubate them, and they come out eating, doing great. Well, ostriches, they have to learn how to eat from their parents. And we've
Really?
tried to get chicks and put them with emus and rheas. They will not learn.
Really?
So they have to stay with their parents for at least a couple weeks until they're eating really good, and then we'll pull them and put them in the barn where they're a little safer, because they don't really understand cars yet. And so they'll get ran over.
Oh,
or
my gosh.
We've had a problem with people getting out of their vehicle and trying to steal them and take them home. So as soon as they're big enough and they're eating on their own, we will pull them and put them right back in the barn and let them grow and get all the nutrition that they need. And then in a few years, they'll be ready to go back out.
Yeah. If you guys catch people trying to steal an ostrich, what's your dad doing? He's furious.
We've had that problem, especially with our rheas, and so we had to make a post and stuff. But we've gotten calls of people getting out trying to catch them. Well, we've been lucky; nobody has caught them. But if we do catch anybody in the car with a baby, he will press charges, because that's a felony offense.
Right.
Because we want the public to be able to enjoy the babies, see the babies,
Right.
and that kind of stuff. But we can't leave them out if people are just gonna try to take them and do that kind of stuff. Or and it could be dangerous too, because you mess with those mama hens, they don't play. And then an ostrich is about 600-700 pounds.
Yeah, they're big.
That's a big foot.
I mean, they're scary if you see them. If you drive through the park and you see them walking, I mean, they're scary.
Oh yeah, so we try to tell a lot of people, like, we want you to see them and stuff, but the big thing is for your safety.
Yeah.
Is they may look cute, the parents may look nice and quiet, but as soon as you go over there and mess with their babies, they don't play.
Now, what when you guys started getting ostriches and emus, what are kind of some of the differences between those two animals?
Well, a lot of people are more scared of the ostriches than they are the emus, where the ostriches are actually more gentle than the emus. Yes. And the big difference between them is the ostriches have a round beak. So when if you hold your hand flat and you feed them the food, it doesn't really hurt when they get it. Where the emus have more of a narrow beak, so when they come, it's sharper and it kind of ticks you in that hand. But like our first pasture, those ostriches are kind of a little bit more laid back, because people are like, okay, I think I can feed this type of bird. and they try to feed it, and then they get scared and
Yeah.
they don't feed no more. So when you get to the second pasture, these ostriches know that you're not going to feed them because you're so scared of them. So they'll come from behind your
Like a
car,
little
and then
secret.
they're really quick, and then they try to grab your food and yank it all the way out so that way they can get something to eat. And
I've seen them grabbing people's buckets out of their hands.
Oh yeah, and if you have rings or earrings, they love shiny stuff. So if you're not paying attention and like you're like me, you talk with your hands a lot and you're looking away, they will grab your finger, and they're not trying to hurt you, but
Right.
they want to get that shiny stuff
Right.
that's on your fingers, or if your nails are done, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They're like,
Yeah.
ooh, what's that?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So, because I've always heard to get an emu, not an ostrich. That's what most people say.
Emus can be very docile, but it all depends on how you raise them. So if you get them as a chick and you're constantly handling them and stuff, they'll be very, very good. But if you get a chick and then don't touch it for 8 months, and you go out there and try to mess with it,
Yeah.
they grow a foot each month. So
That's
they get
insane.
really quick, really fast,
Yeah.
and that's why we tell people it's really important to mess with them when they're little.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then as they get older, you can go, we have a couple out there you can go lay with. You can
Oh,
rub
really?
the back of their necks. They're really friendly. And then we have a couple out there you don't touch. You don't mess with. You got to figure out which one it
Yeah.
is, though, and that's the scary part.
Are you pretty good now about telling which animal's which as you're walking around or whatever?
Yeah, the
for most
easiest
part?
way, a lot of people always ask me, they're like, how do you remember their names? How do you know who is who? And
Yeah.
it's just like a parent. If you have twins or triplets, you know which one
Yeah.
is which,
Yeah.
and everybody else may not know.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is with these guys. Is we've raised them, bottle fed them, and they become your kids, and you know which
Yeah.
one is which.
Yeah.
And they might have slightly a little different than what another one is.
Yeah. So the next thing you and your dad are going to start up is ostrich yoga
Yeah.
with your good ostriches, is what you're saying.
One of our big plans, it won't happen anytime soon, but it's one of our goals is we want to actually build tree houses out in the park where you can rent the tree house out for the weekend and kind
like
of feel
sleep
like
over?
feel
that's
like
cool.
you're at the safari and you have the animals all underneath you and stuff.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So that's one of our big plans. We've been looking into tree houses and that kind of stuff where you can come out, stay the weekend, and get really up and close and personal with them and really feel like you're in Africa without paying all the money to fly there.
Right.
And then you might not see nothing out there too.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're safe too. There's no predators. The zebra's
Yep.
got you covered.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. There will be no
and the
coyotes.
emu's got you covered.
Yeah, no coyotes, no snakes, none of that.
Have you guys ever taken ostrich eggs and like eaten them? You guys ever do
we
that?
haven't. I
don't
won't. No, because the moms, even over their eggs, they're really protective.
Oh, really?
And if you've been out here when they've been laying eggs and they're sitting on them, you'll notice that sometimes they have a few outside that they're not sitting on. And the moms, they'll rotate the eggs, and if they know it's bad, they'll push it out of their nest. And so after they get done laying, they'll leave those eggs, and they always have them in the middle of the summer. So it's really hot,
Yeah.
and those eggs
Those will be
get
nasty
rotten
real fast.
And
Yeah.
even us going out there trying to pick them up, as soon as you touch them, they explode.
Oh,
And
gosh.
it is so gross
gosh.
and so nasty. So that's probably why
Yeah.
we have never tried to eat one, because we
Yeah.
just have that experience melted into our brain of
Oh, yeah.
ostrich eggs. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's very gross.
Absolutely. So the rhea, how does that different from? It's a bird. It's a big bird. How's it different from an ostrich and an emu?
So a lot of people, when they see the rheas out here, they think they're baby ostriches. They're like, oh, look at the baby ostriches running around. But they're actually full grown, and they're probably the most docile ones out of the three
really?
big birds we have.
Yeah.
They originate from South America, and a lot of people, you'll see them, they got their feathers out and they're running kind of crazy through the park, and what they're doing is they're chasing flies.
Oh.
They eat flies, and
Oh,
they
really?
love flies. So some of your horse farms, your cow farms, they'll throw a few rheas out in their pastures, and it'll help keep the flies down.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're really neat though, and the little chicks, they look like little ducks. They're really adorable.
Do they sleep on the ground or they roost at all?
They all lay on the ground.
Those
yeah,
are all
all
ground
of them are
birds.
flightless.
Okay. Is the rhea smaller than an emu? Or
Yep,
they are smaller.
Yep, there's the biggest is the ostrich, and then your emu, and then your rhea.
Okay. And then after that, bird-wise, you guys have the peacocks
and
then
guineas.
the guineas. Any chickens out here at all?
No, we used to
chicken?
have Rhode Island Reds.
Yeah.
And then Daddy switched over to the guineas because he's like, oh, the people really like the guineas.
Oh, yeah.
People think they're little turkeys
Yeah.
running around.
Oh yeah, the guineas are good.
But
good.
they're good guard dogs. The guineas actually are. As soon as somebody pulls up in our yard, especially at night, I mean, they go off.
Oh yeah.
They go off and let you know somebody's not supposed to be there.
Yeah. No, I love my guineas.
Yeah.
Glad you guys do too. You know?
Oh yeah.
You guys eat the guinea eggs if you can find them, or?
No, Daddy, he's a very Cincy.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
if we ever have anything that has to be euthanized or anything like that, like we took a buffalo to go get processed before, and Daddy couldn't eat it.
Really?
And the funniest story he told us when he was growing up is his friends encouraged him to go dove hunting. And he shot a dove, and this man was 23 years old, and he cried in the field because he shot the dove.
Yeah.
So he loves his animals,
Yeah.
and he hates to see any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like, if we do have to euthanize, which is, it's all part of it out here, he will not be around.
That's your realm.
He
That's not him.
will go away, and me and Dr. Harvey, we're normally the ones to handle it all.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
brothers, they're both like him too.
Really?
They don't want to see none of it. They don't want to touch none of it. They
Yeah.
want to go somewhere else
Yeah,
and go do
yeah.
something else.
Holy
So
cow.
I had to be the one with the tough stomach to handle it all.
So we talked about your birds. What about your hoofed animals? So talk to us about the zebras real quick.
Oh, okay. So our zebras, they're probably our big dominant animal out here. They are definitely the king of this castle out here. They are in charge. A lot of people always ask us, they're like, how do you get the animals to mingle so well and stuff? And really it's just reading the animals. And our zebras are our only ones we have to be very cautious with who we put out there with them. So anything smaller than them, they will get rid of it.
Like an animal is what you're talking about,
Yeah,
or a person.
Yeah, like our rheas and stuff, we couldn't put them in there. Our African alldads, they look like big old mountain goats. We can't put them in there with them.
So nothing can be with them.
No,
they'll eliminate it.
Yeah, if they weren't raised with it, they will get rid of it. So most of the time out there, if we have a cow that has a calf and she's a first-time mother and doesn't understand how to raise her calf yet, we have to be pretty on it, and we have to watch that calf, because if not, they will get rid of it. And a lot of people are like, man, those zebras are so mean, and really it's just a natural instinct for them. They are a prey animal, and they are very fighty.
Yeah.
So in the wild, what will happen if it's dark outside and there's a baby animal over there making a bunch of noise, it's going to bring in a predator. And so for them to protect their herd, they're going to get rid of that so that predator doesn't come.
Right.
So
they are the epitome of eliminating weakness.
Oh yeah,
and
they
maintaining strength
They do
in the
not
herd.
play at all. And if we have a new mare that we want to introduce to the herd, what they'll do is they'll beat her up, and it's just to initiate her into the herd. They're not beating her up to be mean, but they want to make sure they're not adding a weak link to their herd. They want a strong force, and if one starts to get old, they will push her out. They will tell her,
really?
"Hey, you can't be part of our herd no more."
They won't kill her. They'll just
They'll
not
push
let
her
her
out.
in the
They'll
herd.
run her away. And then earlier this year, we had a yearling filly, and she was born in the herd. She was raised with the herd all the way up till she was a year old. And then as soon as she hit that maturity level, they beat her up. They beat her up. They pushed her out. They beat her up. And so we ended up, because she's so young, she's only a year old, so we ended up bringing her back into the barn and stuff, letting her get a few years on her before we let her go back out.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they do not play, and they do not take it lightly, whether it's your kid or not. They're gonna make sure that it's not gonna be a weak link. Because what happens is you have a couple weak links, it's gonna bring down the herd, and the lions and that kind of stuff's gonna start being more watchy of that herd because it has weaker links.
Yeah.
Or if you have a nice big strong herd, those lions and stuff, like, yeah, we ain't gonna go mess with them. Let's go get the stragglers that they pushed out.
Yeah, it makes total sense. That's intense, though.
Oh yeah.
What's the similarities with the zebra and the horse, though?
So the zebra and the horse, they're part of the equine family. So the equine family is your horses, your donkeys, your mules, your zebras. And with horses, like you'll hear all the time out here at the park, we say, do not feed the zebras. They can and they will bite. And they can and they will do that. But they're also the only ones out here with top and bottom teeth. But if people who know about horses can founder. And the same thing goes for the zebras. So if they eat too much, they can founder and they can die. So that's why we kind of use the big scare tactic of, hey, don't feed the zebras. And then also you'll notice that our pellets, if you were here when we opened in 2020, they were little tiny little pellets that people fed, and it'd get all over your car and you'd be so upset because you could never get it all out. And then we switched to the big pellets, and one of the reasons we switched to the big pellets was for the zebras. So when people do toss food out to them because they were scared to feed them, they would toss them out food, they would eat a lot of sand. And so that sand would cause sand colics. And so we ended up
Is that like a clog in their system?
Yeah, so horses, equine, they cannot throw up. So what happens is their stomach starts to twist, and once it starts to twist, it can be very deadly. So
Similar to like bloating a dog, I assume.
Yep. Yeah. And so we went to the big pellets, so that way they can pick it up a lot easier and eating a lot less sand. So that was just kind of a learning trial we had to go through
that's crazy.
After that. Yeah, but other than that, I have a friend who's actually moving down from Florida. He has a zebra that rides. He puts his grandkids on and all that. And
nice.
I asked him, I said, was this a zebra raised with horses? And he said, actually, I'm pretty sure it has. And I was like, whatever you do, do not take it to see any other zebra or any other exotic, because it's like a light switch for them. As soon as they smell, hear those other zebras, I mean, they're back to their wild instinct, just
That's
like
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
And so my dad always told us, he said, treat a zebra like a zebra, you'll be a happy zebra owner. As soon as you treat that zebra as a horse, you will be a dead zebra owner.
Wow.
Because they are just so flighty and fighty, and they just have that wild instinct in them. And our biggest thing out here is you never trust them. No matter, you bottle raise them, fed them, you don't turn your back to them, and you don't trust them.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's how we all have all 10 fingers, all 10 toes. Everybody's all still intact. Because
they keep everyone safe out here, like you said, because they got that coyote that one time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
No, they
crazy.
don't play.
Y'all have seen them smash rattlesnakes and all that from back when you said you were having
I haven't seen them do that, but rattlesnakes, they hear those hooves and stuff. They want to stay away. They want to stay away from that noise. We did have a horse, Kayla. You
still have her?
Yeah, she's still around. She's about 34 years old, and she's actually one that Addison had her first year.
Yeah.
But when we first had the farm out here, we'd only been out here 10 years, and Kayla was pretty young. She was out grazing on the field, and she had a rattlesnake bite her on the neck.
What?
And it was a 1/2 centimeter from her jugular.
Oh, shoot.
And luckily our vet was here right on site, and he was able to give her the anti-venom and everything, and she's still kicking it.
Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
still hanging out. She has her little white snake scar right there on her neck.
Holy cow.
But yeah, those were a few incidents. We did have like a couple goats getting bit by rattlesnakes and stuff like that. And then Daddy put the hoof stock, because when we first opened, you would have seen all of our cows and stuff were on our outside. And then like our barn's in the middle of our property, so that way there's snakes and coyotes, anything like that, foxes, they kind of stay on the outer ring of it. And then all of our young stuff or things that could get hurt pretty easily, they stay towards the middle of the farm, where they're a lot safer, because then all those predators have to come through a bunch of big hoof stock that aren't going to play. But yeah.
So then you told us about the zebras, they have top and bottom teeth, but then you have the ruminants, which just have bottom teeth, right?
Yep.
And what type of ruminants do you guys have?
So the ruminants out here is everything from our camels, our llamas, the antelope, cows, all of that. They're all ruminants. And what ruminant means, it just means they have multiple chambers in their stomach. So they'll eat all that food, and then they'll basically throw it back up, and they'll chew their cud, and then they'll send it back down. And with all the ruminants, they have no top teeth. Now, your camels and your llamas, they'll have some top canine teeth, which are called fighting teeth. But if they've been castrated and stuff, they won't grow those teeth.
Oh, really?
But yeah, and so it just makes it a lot safer, especially with kids, because they'll stick their hand right in there in that camel's mouth, and it'll just be a couple bottom teeth that'll kind of grab their hand. But even if they bite down, it's just gums up top that it's getting. And so it's just a lot safer for people to feed and have a good experience. And if your kid's finger just so happens to go in their mouth, they're not going to lose it.
Right.
And then the kids, they get a little bit more braver after they kind of figure that out. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't bad at all.
Do the giraffes have top and bottom, or just
they're
bottom?
ruminants also, so they only have bottom teeth also.
Yeah. So talk to us about some of the differences between the different ruminants. Like I know you got your buffalo, You said antelope, camels. Like, give us some.
Yeah, so we have a lot of exotic cows. So we have our Watusis, which are those big cows. A lot of people think they're longhorns, but they're bigger than that. We have Brahma cows. Those are from the United States. We have yaks, and the Scottish Highlanders are the people's favorites. They're the big orange hairy cows.
Yeah.
And then besides those guys, you have our antelope. So everything out here in the park, a lot of people convinced that it's a type of deer, but in the state of South Carolina, we cannot have any type of deer in our park.
Really?
So everything that looks like a deer is a breed of antelope.
Oh.
And even the wildebeest, a lot of people don't know this either, the wildebeest are a breed of antelope. So they fall within the antelope family. And then your camels and your llamas and alpacas, they're all cousins to each other. And so they're ruminants also, but they're a lot similar. It's just your llamas and alpacas just don't have the hump.
Yeah.
And then your giraffes would probably be more closely related to your camels.
Okay. And you guys riding any camels out here anymore?
We had one, Bubba, and then we have one that's on the road, Clyde, and Clyde rides. And then Wuhan, he's 3-year-old. So
he's a young one.
He was born during the pandemic,
Okay.
and we wanted to give him a name that would remind us of COVID, and we didn't want to be like everybody else, name it COVID or 219. So we ended up naming him Wuhan, where it all started, which was Wuhan, China, because camels they live 30 to 40 years.
I was going to ask, how old do they live?
Yeah, and so he'll be able to tell multiple generations about the pandemic. But he's 3 years old now, so he's coming of age. He's about ready to start getting saddle broke and that kind of stuff. So we're excited for him, and he's going to be a big camel. He's all legs. I think I seen
him one time over in your walkthrough area.
Yeah,
he was over there. You could pet him and all that.
Yeah, and if you were here in 2020, we had a little petting zoo. It was up here.
Yeah,
he was part of that, and he kind of didn't get the experience like the rest of our camels do, because what helps so much with our bigger animals is traveling. So they learn how to trailer load. They're constantly on a halter lead rope. They learn how to walk on a halter lead rope. Where me and Wuhan, I just point my finger. I'm like, come on, Wuhan. And he'd follow my finger, and he'd run all the way back to the barn. So he never had to wear a halter.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember one of our employees was trying to put a halter on him out here to take him back to the barn. I'm like, no, let him go, because he was crying, and he was screaming, like, what is this? I'm like, it's okay, Wuhan. Come on, Wuhan. And then that Christmas of that next year, they started doing Christmas nativities, and people rent out our camels for the live nativity scenes.
Oh, okay.
And so we had to teach Wuhan really fast how to walk on a halter lead rope, and he was not happy about it. But now he's kind of gotten over it, and he's like, okay, now I know. But luckily he was a great little camel, and he kind of picked up on it really quick.
Yeah. What are some quirks about buffaloes? Or bison. You call them either one?
We have water buffalo. We have Asian water buffaloes, and we have the American buffaloes. So we have 2 white buffaloes, which pretty neat thing about them is a white buffalo is only born every 400 calves.
Really?
So they're very rare, and one of our white buffaloes ended up crossing with one of our Highlanders, so we have a beefalo.
Whoa.
So she's half Highlander, half buffalo. She looks exactly like a Scottish Highlander, but she has a really, really short neck like a buffalo.
Interesting.
But another cool thing a lot of people don't know about the American buffalo is, I-20. So that was originally their migration path that they took, and that's how we got our first interstate, was the buffalo path. And
they made it for us.
Yeah, and that's how we got I-20.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Any quirks as far as when you're taking care of them, though? Are they pretty good?
No, they're pretty good. Like I said, we try to bottle raise a lot of them, so that way they're a lot easier to handle. They understand that we're not trying to hurt them, that we're here to help, and they see us as good things.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing with the buffaloes, people really get excited about, is they'll stick their tongue out and open their mouth really wide.
Yeah.
And you can just drop the food right in their mouth, and we're like, yep, right down the chute it goes. And they gotten really good with that. Now our water buffalo, we have a little pond out there, and they love the water. That's how they get their name, the water buffalo. But they do really good, but they're a very easily domesticated breed of cattle, because in Asia they use them to plow the rice fields and stuff like that, and people in the States actually break them to ride, and people will ride the buffalo.
Really?
But our girls out there, I mean, they're right around 1,000 pounds. They are big girls.
Yeah.
So you
don't
don't want to
upset
make you don't want to make one of those guys mad. But we had one last year, he has a pretty cool little story. His name's Gandalf. So he was a all white buffalo that was born, and Daddy was going to name him Snowman, and I was like, Daddy, that's a terrible name, and that's so common.
Your dad hadn't seen Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
had
I was like, name him Gandalf. That's the guy that wears all white and
Yeah.
stuff. And so we named him Gandalf. Well, when he was born, his hooves weren't fully developed. So he was walking basically on his ankles.
Is that normal, or is
that's
abnormal?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so he was just walking on those ankles. So our vet came and we put him in a cast to splint him up to get him back up on his feet. And Dr. Harvey made a video and posted on his Facebook page. And we had somebody comment on it like, oh, you're just using that animal. You should just go ahead and euthanize it. And Dr. Harvey was like, why not give him a chance?
Yeah.
Give him a chance at life. And so now Gandalf, he travels. He uses his feet all correctly. And he's a happy little bull. And he
Nice.
gets to run around. And we're glad we did give him that chance, because sometimes some animals, there's not much you can do. And you can try and try and try. And then you'll just end up being a broke cow owner.
Right.
And the same with dogs.
Yeah.
We love them to death, but we have to draw that line of when too much is too much.
Right.
But he was one of the ones that we were like, nope, we're going to give it a shot. He has that potential. He seems to be a little fighter. He was literally running around on his knuckles. So
Yeah.
we was like, we think he can do it. And so just a few months in cast, and then after that, he's completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, animals are pretty resilient, you know?
Oh, yeah. We have another little cow that went through a lot. His name is Ranger. So Ranger was a little Scottish Highlander calf we got from the sale, and he was supposed to be castrated. Well, when he came home, he had a really bad case of pneumonia. He had a hernia, and then
Good
he
Lord.
was only halfway castrated.
What?
Yeah, so
Halfway.
they banded him, but they didn't put the band too far up. So
okay.
he still had half of one left.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was probably only 2 months old. And so Dr. Harvey came, looked at him, and Dr. Harvey, he was like, hey, this calf is battling a lot to undergo surgery for the hernia and to finish his castration. And then on top of that, he has to recover and fight the pneumonia. He said, it's a very slight chance that he's going to make it. He said, I recommend euthanizing. And my dad said, no, I think this cow wants to make it. And so me and Dr. Harvey went in the washroom, and we're doing the surgery, because like I said, Daddy and them can't be a part of none of that. We're doing the surgery and get his hernia taken care of, finish his castration, sewed him up, and after that, within 15-20 minutes, he was up and awake, and he was ready for a bottle. And Dr. Harvey was kind of a little blown away. He was
Really?
like, man, this cow just undergoes surgery and he's ready for his bottle. But he drank, and then he had to fight another 2 months of the pneumonia and then the surgery, recovering from that, and then he made it through it all, and that's why we called him Ranger, because, the Lone Ranger was supposedly supposed to die, and the whole time he was alive the whole time, so that's how he got his name, was Ranger.
Nice.
The Lone Ranger.
Nice.
And then we had a little white cow named Tonto at the time, too, so we're
Nice.
like, oh, it all fits. There we go. But, yeah, that was a pretty neat little story. And so he's out here in the park. He's a 2-year-old now.
Okay.
But I kind of tell that story when we're out in the park and stuff. So, because a lot of people don't understand. A lot of these animals have gone through a lot, and we're trying to give them the best fighting chance we can. Like we have an ostrich with one toe. Her name's Uno.
What?
She broke her toe jumping off a trailer,
What?
and ostriches, the difference between them and emus and ureas is ostriches only have 2 toes, where the emus
really?
have 3. And so it was her pinky toe. That's what I call it. It's the little nub on the side.
So that's a big balancing.
Yeah, and so
piece
Dr.
for 'em.
Harvey was like, we can try to amputate, but he said after the amputation, I'm not sure she'll be able to walk, because they do use that toe for so much. So me and Dr. Harvey in there using a handsaw, had to amputate. She was sedated, and it was all numbed up, so she was perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
And then
But still just sawing that, you know, it's like,
it was a different. You got to have a strong stomach. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But we wrapped her up. She stayed down for about a day, and then after that, she got up. And she did really good. And we had to keep her up for 6 months to make sure it completely healed, because we didn't want to turn her out and it get infected and that kind of stuff. So she stayed in a stall for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And we finally let her out, and she was so excited to get out, run with the other ostriches. And
she was good to go?
She was perfect. And so, and Daddy wanted to call her One Toe. And I'm like, no, let's call her Uno for one.
Okay, there you go.
And so her name's Uno.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she has a pretty neat little story where a lot of parks, they are in it just for the business.
Yeah.
Where we do care about our animals.
Definitely.
And we want to give them the best shot that we can.
Yeah.
And like Daddy always tells us, we work for them. We don't work for anybody else. We work for them. They are the stars of the show.
Right.
So without them, we do not have a park. We don't have an income.
Right.
They'll say, Shelby, you wouldn't have your car. You wouldn't have your horses without these guys.
Yeah.
So we really have to take great care, do everything we can for them,
Yeah.
make sure they're comfortable and happy. And if they're not happy here at the park, we'll find them a home where they are happy. Because we don't want to force nothing to be here if it's too overwhelming for them. Because animals, just like us, you have some high anxiety, and then you have some that they could care less. Whatever you do, you could shoot fireworks off of them, and they wouldn't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is crazy how resilient they are. Like, I had one of my Jersey Giant chickens, which is like, I don't know if you know what, it's like a bigger chicken. But he got attacked by a fox one day, but he survived. And so the fox had ripped his like side wide open. I could see his lungs, and then also one of his wings. So I took him in the house. I bandaged him up. He had to stay with me in the house for a couple of weeks, but I ended up having to amputate half his wing off.
Yeah.
And I had to take steel shears, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he acted like nothing was going on.
Yeah,
Because he was just like, that wing was done, you
They're
know?
pretty neat. And we had a zebra, our original stallion zebra that we had, Zeke. He never bred. But he was bottle raised. He was very handleable, but he always liked to go mess with the cows.
Really?
And one day the cows finally had enough,
Oh,
and
really?
they gored him.
Oh.
And it was probably 3 inches from his lungs.
Oh, God.
And so we had to have Dr. Harvey come in, and I mean, I put a halter on him, put my hand in, and when I put my hand in to help clean it out, I was down to my knuckles back here.
Gosh.
And he didn't care. He was
He's just
just
sitting
like,
there?
okay, whatever,
Yeah.
you cleaning it out. And so Dr. Harvey came, and he ended up having to put 3 layers of stitches in them.
Oh, shoot.
As soon as Dr. Harvey left, he rubbed every single stitch out.
What?
And within 2 weeks, completely healed. No scar, no nothing.
Holy cow.
And that just kind of goes to show the different between the exotics compared to your horse. If that was a horse, it probably would have been sitting in the stall for about 6 months to completely heal. Where him, 2 weeks, it was back together, and the only way you could tell where he got gored is his stripe was slightly off.
Really? That's crazy.
And Daddy was just so amazed about how fast they do heal and get themselves taken care of. And
Well, if they got good nutrition like you guys are providing to them, they're in an optimal diet, then they can definitely heal faster, you know?
Yeah, no, but that was really neat to see that happen just to see how fast something like that can happen, and then how fast they can recover from it.
Yeah.
But the big part for us was just keeping it clean,
Yeah.
kept it clean, and it was able to shut right up.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, you guys got some monkeys or lemurs over here or something. When did you guys start getting into those?
We have lemurs, so we really enjoyed the ring-tailed lemurs. So those were our first lemurs. And our ringtails, they travel on the road with us. They're very handleable. There's actually a video on YouTube too. It went viral a couple years ago.
Yeah.
My dad was at the Georgia National Fair, and the news lady was out. And so we had Xena on the harness, and she jumped over on the news lady's shoulder and put her hands in her hair. And when she went to jump to get back on my dad, her hand got caught in her hair. Well, pulled her wig off.
Oh, it was a wig?
Live TV. And my dad's trying not to laugh. The lady's trying to get her hair back fixed. And Daddy's just trying to continue the conversation because he's like, I don't know what to do in this situation. But yeah, that went viral.
That's funny.
And then after that, Daddy, he really liked the lemurs. They're a little manageable. The people use them as pets and stuff. So then we got the black and white rough-coated lemurs. So a lot of people think they look like Zaboomafoo. And so they're bigger, but Panda, she was our first one. She's real friendly. I mean, you can hold her, you can cuddle her, You can sit there on your chest, and she'll lay right there with you. Where the
Yeah.
ringtails, they'll jump on you, and you can pet them a little bit, but they don't want to cuddle.
Right. They're doing
like,
their
nah,
thing.
Don't touch me like that. Where the black and whites, they'll let you kind of hold them and that kind of stuff. So we got Panda, and then we got our male Kung Fu. So Kung Fu Panda. And then they had 3 babies this past year, so their
nice.
babies are out there in the walkthrough exhibit. And then we got another little female, and we're hoping she's bred. So then hopefully we'll have a few more. And the black and whites, they're actually on the endangered list. So
really?
there's not many of them right now. And then, so we're hoping we can keep breeding and sending some of the babies to some of these other zoos and parks and stuff to help continue their herds.
I was going to ask if you guys
a lot
are
of
helping
people,
out.
a lot of people what we'll do is we'll trade males.
Okay.
So that way you don't have inbreeding
I see
and
what
that
you're
kind of
saying.
stuff
Change
going
up the
on.
bloodlines. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever bring them in the house when you're relaxing? You bring like the cuddly ones in the house or
My
anything?
dad used to have that problem. I remember we had some friends come over and they were ready to go take a shower, and this is middle of winter.
Yeah.
And they go take a shower, and I hear a scream, and they come running back, and they're like, Shelby, there's these big turtles in your bathtub. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Daddy, can you get the tortoises out of the tub? We got to take a shower. But we brought a few in when we were younger and stuff, but now we're kind of more set up to where they can
They got
be
their
outside.
own area. You
yeah,
can just
and
go
like
visit with them.
all
or
their
whatever.
enclosed animals, they have a heated and AC house. So
nice.
when it's cold, they can go into the heat, and when
Yeah.
it's hot, they can go in for the AC. So
Yeah.
that way they're really comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, not no more.
Yeah.
I told Daddy the dogs. That's about it, and the dogs make enough of a mess. I said after that, no more. Because we used to let the baboons stay in the house and stuff, and I remember we had Salisbury ape. He lived right here where the little black and white lemur is now.
Yeah.
His name was Congo. And Congo used to be part of a circus and stuff, so he knew how to ride a bicycle and do stuff like that. And we went out to dinner one night and come home, and the door is wide open.
To the house?
Yeah, to the house. And my dad thinks like we're getting robbed.
What?
So he goes in, and in the middle of the kitchen floor, there's cereal. There's milk poured on the cereal.
My gosh.
And then all of our blood we had drawn that we were getting ready to send into the lab, he done squirt it all out.
What?
Well, then he goes into the living room, and Congo has a bag of marshmallows, and he has a bottle of wine, and he has the TV on. And he was getting comfortable, and my dad goes in there, and all Daddy had at the time that was on the doorstep was a training wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And so he said, Congo, you're under arrest. And Congo dropped everything, put his head down, put his hands behind his back.
What the heck?
And Daddy was able to walk him all the way back to his enclosure. But yeah, he was so smart. He knew how to get out and then open the doors.
Holy
and how
cow.
to get them all open. And he went
Yeah.
in the fridge, got what he wanted, got comfortable, and then
Yeah.
he got busted.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Is Congo still around, or did he pass
No,
away?
we ended up sending Congo to a private zoo
Okay.
because we prefer the baboons, and we have a rescue sanctuary for the baboons. And
Okay.
so Congo wasn't getting messed with regularly and handled a lot, and he wasn't super happy. So we wanted to give him a place where
Yeah.
he would be handled every day and
Yeah,
kind of get that
yeah.
interaction he was wanting.
Yeah, having his best interest in
Yeah.
mind. Yeah. So you talked about turtles. You guys have any other reptiles out here?
Oh, God,
Not,
no.
no, not big into
I
reptiles.
hate snakes. But no, we do have the African spur-thighed tortoise, and they're your second largest breed of turtles. But they have their own new exhibit out there, and we've had them from the very beginning.
Oh,
and
really?
so then we have a couple big ones. They probably weigh 300 pounds.
Well, they live for a long time,
Oh,
right?
a long, long time. So after my dad passes, we're going to be owning turtles, and probably after we pass, our kids are going to be owning turtles.
How old are they right now, though?
There's some of them we have no clue, because a lot of people they'll
really?
donate them
Oh,
to
really?
us because their parents have passed on and stuff, and they don't know what to do with this tortoise.
Really?
And so they'll ask us, and so we've took in a couple, but now it's getting pretty full. So Daddy, we've ended up having to turn people away. Like, we just don't have the space
Don't have
for
space
them.
for them.
But yeah, I think we have 4 or 5 right now.
Really?
Yeah, and 2
And do they
big
need
ones.
like water? Or are they good just with land?
They have a little it's a little bird feeder, the bird baths, but we took the legs off of the bird bath and put it in the ground.
So they just can crawl right into it.
They can just go right there, get their water. Now, their favorite thing is tomatoes and watermelons.
Really?
So, luckily, our local grocery store, the Piggly Wiggly, they'll get some of the stuff like the lettuce leaves and stuff that the public, they won't buy if it has a little patch on it and stuff.
Yeah.
So they collect all that for us, or tomatoes that supposedly went bad a day before. They'll give that to us. We don't have to pay for it. They'll give it to us, and then we're able to give it right to them. And they'll eat it up, and they love it. The kale, the spinach, the cabbage, all of that. But their favorite, Daddy will go buy them a watermelon and bust it. I mean, you see turtles move. I mean, they can move. We had one get loose one time, and it was during the day. It was probably we went out there that morning, and he wasn't in there. That was about 8, 9 o'clock.
The turtle was missing? Really?
Yeah. 12 o'clock that afternoon, he was 5 miles down the road.
What?
Over at our neighbor's house down there. And they're called us like, hey, Mark, are you missing a turtle by chance? I got one in my yard. And, he got down there within 2-3 hours, 5 miles away.
He's like, I'm out. I'm going for it.
He was moving. And so, like, when we tell people all the time, because we used to let some of them out here before we built the enclosure, and you got to keep an eye on them because, I mean, they'll disappear. they'll be gone. They're quicker than what people think they are.
Yeah. What other kind of animals are you guys thinking about bringing in, if any?
There's a few different breeds of antelope that we really like. But my dad, he had another safari park guy tell him, we're not in the animal business for animal people. We're in the animal business for the public. So we can have some of the coolest antelope that we know about and stuff, but to the public, it's just another deer.
Right.
It's just another deer. This deer's just $10,000 cheaper than that deer. So he kind of keeps that in mind. Like, it'd be cool to have some of these, like kudu and that kind of stuff, but the public don't know no difference. They'll come out to come see the little black buck and the mule guy and that kind of stuff, and they're amazed by that. Yeah. So we kind of keep that in mind. Tristan, my brother, he just got done interning at the Oregon Safari Park. Oh. He was there for 2 months, and he kind of went. They've had their park open for over 50 years, so they're well established. And
how big is that one?
I want to say it's probably 300-400 acres.
Really?
And so he went there and he worked with the carnivores and some of their zebras and stuff like that out there. But really it was just to go and like Daddy always tells us, he says, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel if the wheel's already working for somebody else. Yeah. So he went there and brought some new ideas out and brought it back home for here. And Tristan, I think he once Daddy's long gone, he wants to bring a rhino or a hippo into here, because they had rhinos and hippos there and elephants and that kind of stuff. But that's something he's interested in doing eventually.
With rhinos, maybe are they like more assertive? You know what I'm saying?
Tristan was telling us, like, man, they're massive, but they're just as big as some of our biggest water buffalo. Oh, really? They're really big, and but he said those suckers can move. Yeah. And but most of the time in their park, they have just like you're driving in at your own risk. If they hit your car, they hit your car, and that's all she wrote. Yeah. But they've been there for over 50 years and never had a problem.
I figure if you raise them young like you guys do with all your animals, for the most part, it'd probably be okay.
So that was one interesting thing Tristan really liked that he wants to bring back. But we're the only ones that most parks don't even have camels in the park, because camels are so pushy. Like I tell people all the time, our camels have no sense of personal space at all.
They come right up to your window. They stick their head in the window.
They will stick their head from window to window, and if you put the food in the back seat, they will come from that front window and reach all the way back to that back seat.
I've seen them grab people's buckets before too. Oh yeah, they use like their lips like a fingers.
Yeah, they're prehensile. Okay. Yeah, so they'll use those lips. But a lot of camels, they get just so big and pushy and putting dents in people's cars, breaking windows. Okay. So a lot of people, they just have a lot more problems than they do good from the camels. So they'll get rid of them and just kind of stick more to your antelope and cows.
Yeah. Super cool. So you also do Eudora Equine. When did you kind of get that idea going, or how'd that all get kind of started?
So I've always been the horse person out here on the farm. I remember we had these big old Belgians. They pulled wagons and stuff, and
Those are horses you're talking
Yeah,
about?
they're kind of
like a Clydesdale?
Yeah, they're very similar. And Daddy wouldn't buy me a horse, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ride these big old horses. And so they were pulling horses, so they had their blinders and their harness and stuff. So I just took apart one of their harnesses and took their bridle that had the blinders. And
how old were you when you were doing this?
I was probably 7 or 8.
Really?
And then I took 2 lead ropes and hooked to each side of the bridle to give me reins.
Yeah.
And then I rode bareback majority of the time. And then Daddy kind of he's like, man, she's really into riding and she's not going to give up on it. So we ended up taking lessons down the road, literally right across the road from us. And Daddy started letting me ride the ponies we had. And so we tied them to the back of the truck and jog them over there for my lesson and started doing that. And then I really wanted to really start showing and stuff. So then I went over to Wendy Arndt, who's a big time show jumper and stuff. And so I got my first import. And then after that, that was all she wrote. We were jumping in Wellington, Florida, Kentucky, Argentina, Lithuania. Yeah, we went.
You fly the horses? Really?
Yeah, they fly over. So we would do investment horses. So Daddy would spend about $30,000-$40,000 in a horse at either Lithuania or Argentina that Wendy went over and seen and tried.
Okay.
We'd bring it over, and then after a couple months here in the States, we'd sell it for about $120,000. And so then we were able to get bigger and better horses.
Yeah.
And then college came. And it was either horses or softball.
Yeah.
And softball gave me a bigger scholarship, so I got rid of all my show jumping horses.
You got rid of them?
I got rid of them.
Sold them all?
I sold them all because trying to pay for board, and these horses need to be ridden 6 to 7 days a week.
Oh, they're working all the time.
Yeah, and so we couldn't afford it at the time, and so I had to get rid of them all. And I played JUCO ball for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And once COVID hit, I told Daddy, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start working. I want to save up my own money, and I want to buy my own horse. I don't want you to buy my horse. I want to buy my own.
Yeah.
So I finally saved up enough money, and I had Kayla at the time. We were doing little lessons here so I could make a few extra dollars.
It's like private lessons?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I finally saved up enough, and I found a horse, and I have him still. His name's Waylon. And
wait, is that the big one?
no, that's Oriente.
Oriente, yeah.
So Waylon, he's my Grullo Mustang. He has that long, big, beautiful mane. And we used him, and I fell in love. Well, when he first got here, we didn't click. We didn't click at all. And I was like, oh, my God, I just saved all my money, and now I got a horse, and we don't even get along. Well, we had a few antelope get loose.
Really?
And he was a roping horse, yeah. So I apparently hopped on. I was in shorts. I was barefooted.
You saying apparently like you don't remember.
I don't. And we went up that dirt road, and we found one of the antelopes. Well, he was just doing what he was bred to do, and he went to cut it. He was running it down and went to slide stop to send it back down the road. Well, when he did that, his feet caught blacktop. And me and him slid across the blacktop. And I didn't have a helmet, and I was in shorts, T-shirt, and barefooted for some reason. I don't know why I was barefooted, but somehow I got my leg out from underneath the saddle before he fell down on his side.
Holy
And
cow.
so I got road rash on my hands, my elbows, my knees, the top of my toes, everything, and we learned how to fall off correctly. So my head didn't hit the blacktop, which it would have done. I probably would have busted my skull. It hit my forearm.
Dang.
And somehow I walked all the way back from the top of that road back down to the house, and our neighbors seen it happen, so they came and checked on me, and I was just repeating myself. And so they're like, oh, she has a concussion. So they called the ambulance, and they were going to take me to Aiken Hospital, and then they said, no, she has pretty bad head trauma. We're taking her to Augusta.
Really?
And so I had to go all the way to Augusta, and I barely remember waking up for a second, and they were like, we need your dad's phone number. And so they called my dad and told Daddy, like, hey, you got to come pick her up, because this was during COVID. And so they could only keep me in the room so long. So then they put me in a wheelchair outside of the hospital.
What?
By myself.
What?
And I'm blacked out.
What?
Like, I'm unconscious. I don't have no clue what's going on. And they just put me out on the side of the road.
What the heck?
And my dad came and got me. And then he took me home. Well, that happened on a Thursday. I thought it was Sunday of last week.
Holy
so I
cow.
lost 4 days. I don't remember.
Oh, you lost all that memory.
Yeah,
Total.
I don't remember the 3 days before, and I don't remember the accident at all. And luckily, that's probably the best part is I don't remember, because as soon as they told me I could start riding, I was back riding. I wasn't scared of nothing, didn't have that trauma or none of that from it. And then that's when me and Waylon finally clicked. After that accident, I mean, we were two peas in a pod.
How was he, though?
He scraped up. He got road rash on his face, his shoulder, and his hip. But luckily, the saddle took majority of the road rash from him. And he ran down, and luckily we had somebody here that knew about horses, and she's like, okay, this is not normal. I'm going to untack him, kind of take care of him and put him up. And I remember, Daddy, we were in the house. We had those big windows, and there's a little pasture right beside the house. And Daddy put Waylon there. And Waylon every evening would come to that window.
Where you were at? And
check on me. And so I finally got out my crutches, went out there to him, and he touched his nose on every spot that I had road rash. And then he turned and pointed out his. And I was in tears over there. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But then after that, I really told Daddy, I said, Daddy, this is what I want to do. He was like, well, you're going to finish school. You're going to finish school, and you're going to go get your degree. And I was like, man, I can't get away from school. So I ended up going to school to be an educator. I did secondary education, and then I graduated. Well, like any business, you got to start somewhere. And I knew if I started as soon as I got out of school, I would be struggling very hard, just trying to build it. So while I was in college, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing lessons, because I played softball. So during the fall, I lived 3 hours away. Every weekend, I would come home and do my lessons. So that means I didn't get to party. I didn't get to go to the football games. I didn't do none of that. I sacrificed all that to come home to stay with my lesson kids, so that way I could keep those kids, because then I'd have to leave them from January to May because of softball season, and then come home during the summer. So those people, I still have majority of them still with me. And then I told Daddy, I was like, Daddy, I really want to do a summer camp. It's like, I really want to do that. And he was like, okay, well, we'll help you planning it out and stuff and figure everything out. Well, the best part about going into teaching, I had lesson plans. I knew how to do all that, organize. I knew a lot about child care and all that good stuff. So
your dad was right. Finish school.
And so that helped out a lot for my first year at camp. And the biggest thing I was worried about was, I'm 22 at the time. I was like, who's going to trust a 22-year-old to watch 10 kids with 10 horses? And this is their first year of doing that. I was like, ain't no way these people are going to let me do it. And Daddy said, well, just try. If they don't fill up, they don't fill up. And you got more years to come. And so I did 3 weeks of beginner camp and 1 week of advanced camp. And majority of them filled up. I had probably 6-7 spaces left out of those 4 weeks. And it went really, really well. And I always ask parents, I was like, if there's anything you didn't like or stuff that you'd like to know more about, or you think I should do differently, like, let me know. I'm open to all the criticism you can give me. Like, this is my first year, and we literally did it in the middle of a horse pasture. That's all I had at the time. And I was like, all right, well, I got to make some type of arena. I got to have tent. We got to have shade. We got to have water. And
had some lessons learned from that first year.
And so the scariest part was that first week of camp, we had that major heat wave. And it was 113 outside, and I was like, oh my God, my horses are going to pass out. These kids are going to pass out. But I thought about softball, and I was like, okay, let me go get those do-rags that we put around our necks at softball games during travel ball tournaments. So I got those. We had water. Kids had water breaks every 10, 15 minutes, and we had no problem, and they had a blast. And then the next year, which was this year, I told Daddy, I was like, Daddy, I really need an arena. I really need an arena, because he expanded the park. And so those animals that were on the other side had to move in with the horses. So it wasn't safe to do it where we did it last year, because we had donkeys, we had a bull, that kind of stuff over there, and we had nowhere to move them. And I begged, I said, for Christmas, for my birthday, for Christmas next year, I want an arena. I want an arena. And so he was like, okay, let's see. We'll go up to the new property and find a spot that you like. And I pointed it out to him, and he was like, okay. And then we found somebody to come out here and build it for us. Well, it wasn't done until a day before camp started. And I was like, oh my God, we were biting tooth and nail to get it done. And I was like, now I got to get the horses up here and pray to God that nothing is scary for them up here, because now I had the kids coming and I didn't have time to really prep them, ride them out there, get them used to it.
Right.
But luckily, all of them, they live with all these exotics, so they're like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. We're nowhere near none of them.
They'll take the kids over the exotics.
And so it really took off. So now I do a winter camp, a cowboy camp, just to kind of give other opportunities. Like I tell people, pony camp's more the fun side. We have the water side. We do a lot of crafts, that kind of stuff. Cowboy camp, we do mutton busting, where they ride the sheep, and they get to have a roping clinic, and it's during the cold. They do a few more chores, and so then kids can really kind of find what they like to do. And then my biggest thing, because I am an educator, I wanted to make sure camps and stuff weren't just fun. I want kids to be able to take something away from camp. So we'd have special guests come in. Like last year, we had our vet and our farrier come and talk to the kids. This year, we had an equine dentist and MagnaWave come in. So this way, kids, they may never be able to afford a horse, but there's other opportunities in the equine world that they can get into and be a part of and learn. Like a lot of people don't even know there are horse dentists. That all they focus in is just teeth. And so they get to learn about that kind of stuff and see that kind of stuff. And advanced camp is a little bit different than our beginner camp, but we do tractor trailer driving. And they sit in my lap, because I'm not letting them touch
so
the gas pedal.
you're teaching them how to drive
the trailers.
Oh,
and
wow.
so one thing we do is we actually put them in the trailer. And so I drive them around a little bit, tap the brakes a little bit,
they can feel it.
just to teach them and show them, like, it can be very easily to throw a live animal around in these trailers, and that's why we go so slow. And so then after that, they get to drive, and we set up a little obstacle course, and then they get to back up the trailer and learn how to do that kind of stuff. And
Important.
like I told Daddy, I said, they may never own a horse a day in their life, but 9 times out of 10, one of these kids are going to drive their boat, their ATVs, or something on the back of their truck, and they're going to have to know how to do it. And they'll be like, well, I remember learning this at camp that year. We learned how to do that.
Definitely.
And
I mean,
so
that's super good.
Yeah, just being able for them to take stuff home with them, that horses and stuff, it's fun, but then they can have stuff that'll last a lifetime. Though I remember stuff from my camps that I didn't think I'd enjoy, and then went and did it, and that's stuff that still sticks with me today. Is stuff I learned from camps.
And you're teaching them hard work and not to just be sitting there on the screen all day. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and a lot of my kids, parents, the biggest compliment I always got is when those kids got in the car, they passed out.
Oh yeah.
They were asleep. They were tired after that day. But most of them, they were just so excited to be out there and do something and touch the horses, smell the horses. And like our first day, I tell parents, I'm like, advanced camp, beginner camp, we don't ride that first day. They have to know how to be around them on the ground. And really that big day is just more for safety reasons. If they can't walk the horse properly, if they don't know where to be at around the horse properly, they're going to get hurt throughout the week. And I always have to constantly remind myself, all my horses and ponies, they're great. They're made to do these camps and stuff, but it just takes a second. It just takes one wrong step, and somebody can get seriously hurt. And so I always have to be on my toes and my eyes, and you can ask my dad and my friends that are helping me with camp, I am stressed. Like, I'm
at
stressed
the end, you're
to
sleeping
the max.
good.
Because like, I want them to have a good time, and I know I'm young, and so like I'm trying to prove to these parents, like, hey, I'm ready for it. I can do it. I know what I'm talking about. But I know I just don't have that many years under my belt, and that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm so grateful for all the parents who do trust in me, and they come and they see how it's ran and stuff, and they give me those compliments, and it makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing it right. We're getting somewhere, and it's being successful. And so this year, pony camp, I ended up having to turn away 15 kids.
Really? Because you ran out of spots.
Ran out of
the
spots.
First year you had extra spots. This year,
I had no spots at all. That's good. It filled up quick, and Daddy's like, yeah, you should do more weeks of camp. And I'm like, no more. But I think next year, I want to do an adult camp.
Oh, that'd
where
be cool.
parents can come out. It'd be like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they can come do horsemanship and kind of go. We'll take them on a wagon ride, let them do a craft or so, kind of just relax, have fun, do some stuff that they might have never ever been able to do if they were a kid, and really kind of enjoy the horses and learn a few things.
Or
and
maybe
ride.
if someone is interested in getting horses, they can come take your course first and then figure out if it's actually something they can handle or not.
Because the big reason why I did camp was to help my lessons. And I told Daddy, I said, I'm going to do camp so it'll help encourage more people to come and take lessons and stuff. So that really helped. But I always get asked, and parents or adults, they're a little afraid to ask, like, do you do lessons for adults? And so I feel like if I did an adult camp, they'll be a little bit more comfortable with coming up like, hey, I want to take lessons. And I try to tell my kids that are in my program that have been with me, is the best horse trainers are the ones who don't know it all. You got to be a continuous learner with horses, because each horse is different, just like every person. And so I know a lot, but I still go take lessons. Like I'm taking roping lessons right now. I want to be a better roper and doing that kind of stuff. Or I go to clinics, so that way I can go learn and then bring it back to my program.
Right.
Your worst trainers are the ones who know everything and they don't expand that learning curve, because there's just new stuff that comes out, and I want to bring as much as I can back to my kids to really give them that opportunity, because my lessons, my camps, they're all very reasonable. If you go to Aiken, their 3-day camps are $400. Mine's $250 for 5 days. Yeah. And
definitely worth it too.
It's just to give those kids that opportunity who don't get the opportunity to go to those horse camps, that can't afford it, to get out here. And so I want to be able to give them as much knowledge as I can to them, that I can say in a very dumb way for them so they'll understand it a little better. But that was the biggest thing for me. And then just telling them, like, hey, you've taken lessons for 2 years, but I took lessons for 8 years, and I'm out here and I'm still continuing.
Still doing lessons.
Trying to go take some lessons, fit it in where I can, and just continue to learn. And it'll only help my riding ability and only help my coaching ability, because I might even hear them explain it a different way than I do, and it might really help me understand it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can go explain it this way to my kids and really see if that helps them learn, because I try to do visual learning with them, so I'll video them, and especially stuff I have to constantly repeat to them. I'm like, all right, I'm going to video it, and then I want you to look. Look where your head was, and then they really like, oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about. And I try to explain to parents in ways like, if we're driving a car, because a lot of kids want to barrel race, I'm like, if you're going really, really fast, what kind of turn are you going to have to make if you're going super, super fast? And they're like, oh, we're going to have to take a big turn. I'm like, yeah, so you have to learn how to teach your horse to slow down so you can make that tighter turn instead of having to fly and make that big turn. And so that kind of helps them being able to break it down that way for them to understand. And I really try to keep parents involved of, like, this is what we're working on, and this is why we're working on it. Like, my first lessons, no matter how advanced the kids are, we walk the entire time. Because I tell them, I said, camp's a lot different than lessons, because camp horses, they all follow each other, and they all kind of know the routine. They know exactly what to do, and if one's doing it, they're all going to do it. Where in private lessons, you're doing it by yourself. There's not another horse for it to follow, so you really have to tell them exactly what to do. And I always say, you got to walk before you can run. And if you can't steer at a walk, and you can't look where you're going at a walk, do you think you're going to be able to do it at a trot? No, you're going to run my horse into the fence, or you're going to run me over. So we're going to get these things a little fine-tuned, and then we'll move on to the better stuff. So and the kids, actually, I'm very surprised they haven't got, like, I've never had one get butt hurt over, like, oh, man, we're just walking. I don't want to walk.
I think they're just happy to be with the horses, you know?
So they get really excited. But another problem I've ran into with lessons is siblings. So a lot of parents want their siblings to do it, and then they ride together. And what happens after a few months, one sibling's going to be better than the other. And so one either kind of gets held back so the other one can catch up, or the one that's further back gets really discouraged because they're other ones. So I always try to encourage parents, like, I know you don't want to be out here 2 hours, but I would separate them if you want both of them to stay in it, or not. If not, I'd give you a couple months, and one of them's not going to want to do it no more.
Makes
and
sense.
so then after doing that, they can really see the difference, because then the kids go back and they kind of tell them what they did, but they don't really exactly see what the other one did. They're like, yeah, you might have ran around the barrel, but I'm sure you didn't do that.
Yeah.
So then they get a little more, especially one-on-one time, and then it's just easier for me to really focus on with them instead of having like, okay, well, this one's posting trot, but this one's loping. Like, how am I going to let this one lope and this one over here trot? And they're going to be upset, like, why am I not loping?
Yeah.
And then I have to explain to them, like, yeah. You're not ready for a lope. And then that's where the discouragement comes from and stuff. So I try to tell parents, like, hey, try to separate them.
Yeah, that's good. And your business for that is Eudora Equine, right?
Yep. So I wanted it to be a branch off the farm. And my part that I want to add to the safari park is safari trail rides. So
that'd be cool.
We're that's all in the works right now. That's how I convinced Daddy to get the arena. I was like, well, Daddy, you need a place.
Ride up there.
I'm like, you need a place to contain them when you first get on, so you can teach them the basics, so that way they're not running out in the open. And that's how I got them to get the arena. We're getting ready to start. We're going to start on the trails this fall.
Do they have to do a camp before you can do a trail ride?
No, it'll be open to the public. You'll just be able to rent a horse out, and you'll have a tour guide that goes with you. And you'll be on the outside, and then there'll be a small part where you actually get to go in with the animals. But we want to ride our horses on the trail probably 100 to 200 times, so they know exactly where to go.
They know all the turns and all that.
There's nothing new for them. But that's one thing that we want to add to the farm. But also with Eudora Equine, I separated it so if, God forbid, something did happen, they can't sue the farm. They have to sue my business. That way it keeps Daddy a little bit safer and that stuff. And then we also, this year, we got riding insurance on Eudora Equine for lessons, camps, all that good stuff. So that way we are a little bit more covered on that side of it. And that's why I'm glad to have my dad and his business, mine, and he's like, you need insurance. You're gonna need insurance if this is what you continue and you want to do. And so we're getting a well up there now, so we'll have water, and then fingers crossed in the next year or so I'll have a barn and pasture. Right now the reason why we don't have pasture over there is because this is the first year the grass is growing. So Daddy wants to give it another year so it can really take root. If not, the horses are going to tear it apart.
They'll destroy it because they have teeth on top and bottom. They can pull the roots out.
And their hooves and stuff and the grass is just not strong enough.
So you're going to have pasture up there so that the horses can stay up there, basically?
We'll be able to move them. And then as soon as I get a round pen and places to separate horses, I will start horse training. But right now, I'm very humble with myself, but I know I'm not set up for it, and I don't want to do a disjustice to any of my customers. And so I've had plenty of people asking, like, Shelby, can you take this horse, train it for me? I'm like, I would, but I'm not set up for it, and I don't have a place to separate it, and I don't want one of my horses hurting your horse or your horse hurting mine. So I have people waiting, and I'm like, okay, I just need a round pen and a place to separate them, and then I can do it. Because I've broke horses before, I've done training, but most of the time it's been at other people's places. Like I go to them, or I ride for somebody and do that for them. But right now I don't do it, just because I'm not set up, and I want to be able to have those horses away from the exotics, because the exotics are just another distraction and stuff, and it's very scary. Like, we just got 2 new ponies in yesterday that are here for lease, and I'm giving them the whole weekend to take in the smells, the sounds, everything, because this is a very scary place for a horse. Most of the time horses don't see anything bigger than them besides another horse, so when they see a giraffe, they're about to lose their mind. But yeah, it takes a lot of time, and luckily I'm not like my brothers, a little hot-headed and eager, and I'm a lot like my daddy. I'm very humbled and know what I'm capable of and know what I'm not, and try not to bite off too much than I can chew.
One step at a time, you know?
And I just know it'll get there, but I know it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take me 3 more years before I'm well established in my business to sustain off my business. And teaching's kind of the backup plan. So, like, if the horses don't work out, I got my degree.
There's no backup. There's no backup, Shelby. It's all or nothing, you know?
And so everybody's been ready for me to get back home. But teaching, the best way Daddy explained it to me was like, you still have your weekends, you have your holidays, you get out at a decent hour, and you get insurance.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like, so teaching, because your kids, that lesson kids and stuff, they're going to be in school. What are you going to do when they're in school?
Yeah.
That way, you're able to have a consistent income coming in, and you have your insurance until your horses really take off and you can sustain on them by yourself.
I got you.
But mine's kind of a little backwards. I'm not going to teach unless I have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because teaching world's a little crazy right now.
Well, you know, I do dog training, but talking about you training horses, can you give us a story about like maybe a horse that was very difficult to train or an aggressive situation?
I remember my first one that I got to train, my riding teacher, Wendy. They brought in 2 ponies from Mississippi. They were 4-year-olds, never been touched, never been handled, anything. And
You still call a 4-year-old horse a pony?
Yeah,
Really?
Well, he was a pony.
Oh, okay.
He was 4 years old, but he was just a pony.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So he wasn't going to get much bigger. But Wendy and Perry, they told me, they're like, all right, Shelby, this will be your first pony you get to break, because I've helped with them a lot, but I never got one that I got to take on my own. And so Perry asked me, he's like, all right, which one do you want? And I said, all right, which one gave you the hardest time?
Yeah,
and so Cole, he kicked Perry in his stomach trying to get the halter on the trailer, and he was just very wild. And then the other one was Gandalf. This is another Gandalf.
Yeah.
And so I took Cole, and I just sat in his stall for a long time until he got comfortable with me, and we hand walked everywhere. And then I finally started saddling him and doing stuff like that. And there's a whip that has a little flag on the end, and most of the time you use it to desensitize them. Well, this pony chased it, and I've never ever seen a horse chase the flag. He was so excited about the flag, and he just wanted to play with it.
Had some prey drive.
Yeah, and I remember when we were at the barn, he's been saddling great and let me kind of stand on the side of him, never threw my leg over him yet. And we were in the barn, and I was in shorts and stuff, didn't have a helmet.
Here we go again. You had shoes on this time or no shoes? Okay,
I had shoes this time. But we were just standing there, and I could just feel it. I was like, Cole is going to let me get on him today. And so I just slid across, and we walked into the barn, and I was like, Barry, I won. I got on my pony first. And I was whispering. I was trying not to yell to scare him.
Yeah.
And then after that, we rode and did all kinds of stuff, and then it came time to sell him. And the people came out to look at him, and I promise Perry still thinks to this day I did it on purpose. That pony never bucked with me until those people came out there, and he bucked and dumped me off.
Oh, dang.
And they were like, yeah, we're not getting that pony. And they're like, Shelby, you did that on purpose. I was like, I promise you I didn't. I feel like he knew exactly.
Yeah.
But then we ended up selling him, and I worked with Kelsey Willis up here and helped him break a few of his horses. And then this year, I got a weanling. Well, last fall, I got a little weanling. Her name's Oakley.
What's that mean, wingling?
So she means she just got weaned.
Oh, okay. Okay. So she just left her mother.
Yeah, so she was 7 months old when I got her, and she came all the way down from South Dakota. And so she's my first one I really get from the bottom up, because most of them, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, people have already done their own kind of groundwork, and they kind of miss holes and that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of stuff you got to go back and do with them. So she'll be my first one that I've had from the ground up. I get a train, I get a break, and I plan on keeping her.
Nice.
So a big thing we had happen the other day is she laid down. We teach her to lay down. And most of the time, a lot of people will do this with your horse just to get them to trust you, because being a prey animal laying down, that's a very vulnerable spot for a horse. They sleep standing up.
Right.
And so I got her to lay down and rubbing all on her, laying on her on the side. And she's only a yearling now, so there's only so much I can do with her, and we've just been letting her grow. But she's halter broke. She knows how to flex. I touch her right between her ears, and she'll put her head down to the ground. She's taking the saddle. She's doing all that kind of stuff. And so hopefully by next fall, she'll be ready for me to start throwing a leg over and letting me do a few little rides. But the biggest part I got to tell myself is I can't get impatient, because when she is 2, you still don't want to ride them a whole bunch because they're still growing. They don't finish growing till they're about 4.
They can't hold your weight and all that.
And, or you'll mess up their bone growth and their plates and stuff like that. But you can sit on them at that age. So my plan is probably only to ride her 5-6 times within that 2-year.
Get her used to it,
and
but
that's it.
Too much.
Let her feel my weight, make sure she's comfortable with it, and then after that, she's done and gets another year to grow until she can really start taking on that job. And the big part I always have to remind myself too is she is just a baby, and you can't expect babies to be grown horses. And so she's going to make mistakes. She's going to have her days where she wants to pout and be a little kid and buck and play. And so I got to remind myself, like, I can't yell at her for it. She's just a baby. But I do hold her to a higher standard than I do most of my other horses. And I feel like she knows, because she gets fed last and she gets let go last, because some of my horses, I mean, they will paw, they will scream, they will holler when it's feeding time, and they are pushy. And I told Oakley, I said, you're not going to be like this. You're going to wait patiently until I come to you, and then you're going to wait patiently for when I come unhook you. And so she waits, and she'll do a little talk here and there, like, oh, okay, I'm ready. But she's came a long way, and I'm very excited about her. And within the past, we did a picture comparison of her from January to August, and she's probably grown 2 feet within that time. And so she's growing like a weed. And I have to tell people too, they're like, man, she's so big. And with babies, a lot of people want to get baby horses and stuff, but they're just like children. You really have to get them that nutrition and their minerals and vitamins and all that. If not, you'll stunt their growth. And so she's supposed to be a 15-hand horse, but if you don't get her all this stuff and let her grow and be a baby, she'll probably end up being 13 hands, because she didn't get all that she needed as a baby. So that's a big important thing for me right now, is she doesn't get a whole lot of grain. She gets more like alfalfa and her vitamins, salt, and minerals.
Nutrient-dense foods.
Just to kind of keep her growing, and not a lot of sugar. To kind of keep her head level. Because if you give them a lot of sugar, they're just like a kid. They'll be running everywhere. But
sounds like a lot of similarities between horses and dogs, but from what you're saying, it sounds like relationship with the animal is a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Before we wrap up, can you talk to us about, you've obviously handled and fed and raised so many animals. Can you talk about the animal-human relationship a little bit from your experience?
Oh yeah, there's a few out here in our park. Like I would say probably now 30 to 40% of the animals in our park have been bottle raised and have been handled. And like we have Ward, Peter, Wuhan, all of them, they know their names too, and they know who we are. And so Elliot, if he sees my dad could be probably 300 yards away. He will spot him and he will stare at him the whole time until he comes.
Dad's his favorite or something?
And because Daddy was the one who bottle raised them, so he sees Daddy as Mama. And then Wuhan and Peter, I just have to call them and they come running up to the wagons, or if me and my dad are doing the tours and we call one of them, they come trotting right up because they know who we are, and they're like, oh, okay, come on. But it has been very interesting raising them, and because some of them we don't like pulling babies, we don't. But if the mom's not going to take care of them, then that's what we have to do, is we have to bottle raise them. But another good thing with the bottle feeding and handling them, like we had a baby black buck last year, we bottle raised Daisy, and we have another little one, Duke, this year. But once we turn them out in the herd, like the black buck, they don't come up to the vehicles yet, but that bottle raised one does. And she starts to teach the other wilder ones that it's okay to come up to the vehicles. Like, they're not going to hurt you. Come on, there's food over here. This is where all the good stuff is. So it really kind of helps our wilder ones out there with coming up to the vehicles and that kind of stuff. And then it makes it less stressful for them. And then if we need to catch something, those bottle babies are able to help us kind of encourage them to come in, so it's less stressful on the rest of the animals. They're a little bit more comfortable with doing that kind of stuff, because the number one killer in your public parks and stuff with these exotic animals is stress. You get to chasing them out here trying to catch them or do something like that. You can stress them out and kill them.
Yeah.
So like our big thing is trying to make it stress free. So when we're catching the zebras for their babies, every evening we'll open this gate and just throw feed in here, and then they get in a routine. They're just coming in here, and then
it's
very relaxing. And then the day we have to catch them, we just close the gate.
Yeah.
And then after that, it can get a little hairier, but they're a little bit more relaxed because they know where they're at. They know this place, and they're like, okay, there's food in here. We're more comfortable. And then we don't have to chase them into there. We don't have to do a bunch of darting, that kind of stuff. But that's one of the big things we always remind ourselves is we don't want to stress them. And that's a big thing we have to tell our employees. They're not regular cows. They're not horses. You can't just go out there, run them and chase them because they're going to get too freaked out. They're going to stress themselves out. They can run into a fence, anything like that. So everything we do is slow. And we try to do it after hours, like once we're closed, so that way you don't have the vehicles, you don't have the public out there trying to do something.
Extra stressors and all this.
Yeah, and so then once we're out there, we can kind of contain the situation a little bit better. So that way we can do it safely and more relaxed for them. Like we have big black tarping, so if we can get them in an area where we can just pull that tarp out, pull it out, and put them in there, and then they kind of shut down and they're relaxed, and we can use that tarp to push them right to the trailer, so that way we don't have to touch them and freak them out, and they're a little bit more calmer that way. Yeah,
very interesting. Well, really appreciate your time, Shelby.
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for having. And for the listener, my daughters have gone to Shelby's horse camps for the past 2 years. They've had a great time. And actually, one of them's a little bit younger than she's supposed to be for the camp, but Shelby always lets her get involved. So we definitely appreciate
they've been
that.
great. Well, me and Mal was talking about her earlier today. Addison, she had a pony chicken nugget. And,
the pony's name is Chicken Nugget, not a pony chicken nugget. You know, the pony's name is Chicken Nugget.
She was brushing him, and she kept going right underneath his belly. And I was like, Addison, you can't go underneath them like that. You got to go around them. She said, no, Miss Shelby, it's okay. It's just faster this way. And I was like, okay.
She's a bossy little girl.
And Chicken Nugget, he had no care in the world. And her and him and Addison, she would drop her reins, cross her arms. She was just sightseeing. She was there for the view, and she was just looking, and Chicken Nugget just knew exactly where to go. He was I like this kid. She don't make me run. We just walk and hang out. But we were talking about that today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if the listener wants to visit Eudora Wildlife Safari Park, again, it's in Sally, South Carolina. You can Google it. You can Facebook it. You'll see it. Definitely come on up. If you're lucky, you'll see Shelby walking around working. You know she's working. Also, Eudora Equine. You can find that on Facebook.
Yep.
I don't know if you're on Instagram with that one or Google or anything. We're getting there.
Facebook's there.
Facebook's the go-to.
We're hoping to get a website soon within a few months or so.
Eudora Equine primarily for the lessons and then the camps too.
Lessons and camps. Yep.
Yeah. So good to go, and then upcoming trail rides.
Yes, sir.
So
that will be exciting, and we're hoping another great time to come out here to the farms during our fall festival. We have the pumpkin patch, the corn maze.
Oh, that's right. I came out here last year for that.
Yeah, and there's the peacock.
We got the peacocks in the background making themselves known.
Yeah, and then most of the time our pig races are here during
I was going to bring that up. Like last year I came, you had the pig races, which was super cool.
Yeah, so some of them, and then our Christmas village. Last year we did it, and this year I think we're going to do it again. But
is it over there?
Yeah, it's over right by the village. But you buy like a little elf passport, and your kids can make an ornament, make reindeer feed. Santa Claus and the Grinch will be there, and then some of our baby animals are out there with little bells and bows on that they get to take pictures with them with Santa, and so that's another cool thing. You guys
update the Facebook page with all that that's coming up and everything?
Yes, sir.
One thing I forgot to ask about your parakeet, is that what it is over there? The parakeet cage,
adventure.
Or where you can walk in there and feed them? How'd you guys get into that?
We seen another place have it. Riverbanks has it. And so we kind of took that idea and ran, like I said.
And you just get the parakeets and you just train them to be in there? And
Yep. We're hoping to put nesting boxes in there so then they can reproduce. Right now we don't, so like each year we have to bring in new parakeets. But yeah, he's seen it at a couple other zoos and stuff, and like he always says, there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
They just stay in that area the whole time?
Yeah, they have a little house, and it's heated, and we can put them up, and then the other half of them travel on the road.
Oh, really?
Road
unit. You take them with you.
They have a parakeet adventure that goes on the road too, because we already had those parakeets before we opened the park, and then now we have a permanent place for them to stay when they come home.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, Shelby. Anything else you want to mention while we're on live, Mike?
No, not really. You can come out, come see us. Right now, August is our Teacher Appreciation Month. So if you're in Aiken County and you have your ID, whether you're a custodian, teacher, principal, you can get in free.
Oh, nice.
Right now. So that's a great time to come out. And then even if you are a teacher somewhere else, I would look into field trips. We do a big thing with field trips out here.
Okay, so the school can just contact you. They can bring the kids up.
Yep, everything's on our website, and it's a lot easier than going to the zoo, because zoo kids are running loose. Where here, they're on a wagon, they're contained. You have a tour guide that helps you through, and so then
might
the
be
teachers,
Shelby. Your tour guide might be Shelby if her dad calls her.
And then your teachers are kind of able to relax a little bit, and they get to enjoy it too, because they're not worried about, okay, this kid's down here, this kid's over there, let me bring them all back together. And so I recommended to Daddy, I'm like, well, do something for the teachers, get them out here, come see the park, and that'll help encourage your field trips and stuff. But yeah, it's a pretty neat place, and our fall, like I said, that's the biggest time out here. It's cooler. The animals are a little bit more excited, ready to go, and it's a lot of fun out here.
Now, I know during the fall festival and the Christmas usually has like a food truck or something over there.
Yeah, we have our concessions.
Oh, you do? They're over there all the time?
We have them, and then the funnel cake stand's always here, but they're only open on weekends for right now. But he also does funnel cakes, corn dogs, fried pickles, and fried mac and cheese.
Nice. All good stuff.
All the southern fried food. I got to stay away from down there.
Well, thank you, Shelby. Really appreciate your time.
Yes,
sir. You guys come on out to Eudora Farms. Check it out. You won't regret it. Guarantee you that.
Yes, sir. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. So we just finished up the podcast with Shelby. Eudora Wildlife Safari Park. I mean, great place.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been there, you definitely want to go there, especially if you're anywhere in South Carolina, honestly. You know, it's only about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Charleston. And Columbia, it's probably an hour and a half away from Columbia, but you get to drive through, see all the animals. I mean, it's crazy. Then, like Shelby was talking about, the horse camps that she does at Eudora Equine. You know, both my kids have been to her horse camps for 2 years now, and they're awesome. They have a good time.
Oh, we know they like them. We know they like the horse camps.
They like the horse camps.
They come back. They're always happy.
Very appreciative of Shelby for coming on the podcast and giving us a little bit of insight about what's going on at Eudora Farms and about the animals. You know, we're into the animals.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I did get some peacocks from them, too. A couple peacocks from Eudora.
Yeah, we're moving on from the well, we still got the guineas, but we're moving up in the world to peacocks now.
Anyway, well, let's talk about some of our sponsors here. We got Canine Revolution Dog Training, obviously.
Bingo.
If you need dog training, let us know. Also, mention that you're a podcast listener if you're sending in some information requests.
Discount?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe.
Oh,
you never know.
That's something that, you know, unless you listen, you won't know.
Unless you listen, you won't know. You got to ask the question.
Holy shit.
You know, but I will say we have had recently a couple of our listeners reach out trying to get some jobs. We had one get hired.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know, she's an awesome lady. Happy to have her on the team. So a lot going on with that. But if you're a listener, we definitely appreciate the feedback. You reaching out, letting us know how you're feeling about everything, letting us know your feedback, right? Trying to join the team, all that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Good to go. Also, check out Canine Revolution Apparel. We got our new storefront on Amazon. Mm-hmm. You can get you a good to go shirt. You'll be good to go.
Little coffee mug action.
Get you a coffee mug. You can get you a rain jacket, a hoodie. Hoodie season's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Got to get you a good to go hoodie because hoodie season's coming.
Got the fitted hoodies on there.
Yeah.
They're
nice.
real nice.
Yeah, they're nice.
Real nice and
so
soft.
Check that out. Canine Revolution Apparel on Amazon. Also, you know it, Origin USA. Mm-hmm. Code SINGER101 for 10% off. That's products made in America. That's your boots, your jeans, your belts, your jiu-jitsu equipment, your jiu-jitsu clothing, workout clothing.
They got jorts.
Well, you can make jorts. You get you a pair of Delta 68s, you just cut them.
That's what you did.
There's a guy that is a training assistant at K9 Revolution Dog Training. He was wearing jorts the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, those are nice jorts. And I was like, I got some too. We were talking about jorts. He said he loves jorts. I said, get you a pair of Delta 68s, cut them into jorts. He said he might check it out.
I feel like jorts are on the comeback.
They're on the comeback.
Because legit, you used to be made fun of for wearing jorts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, people these
But now
days,
I see more people wearing them.
Oh, yeah.
Now
they're the go-to.
Like more and more now.
They're the go-to for sure. So Origin USA, also don't forget they have their new Roll, Train, Execute workout gear line, which is constantly sold out. So you just got to constantly be checking it. Get your workout shorts made in America, your workout shirts made in America. They got like the gym hoodies, you know what I'm talking about?
What, like cut off?
You know, well, they have the cut off ones, but they have the long sleeve with like the hoodie, but it's like a workout shirt.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
People are big into that.
Yeah.
They got them in the Raptor camo too, which I like, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Also, they got the new shorts, Raptor camo shorts. You see me wearing them.
I've seen you and Chris wearing them.
Those are nice.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
You guys are like always wearing them. Do you watch those things? You're like always wearing them.
I have a couple pairs.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. We'll go with that one.
All right. So Origin USA, code SINGER101 gets you 10% off. We're proud to be a partner with them. And then also Jocko Fuel. That's your Made in America supplements.
Time to get juiced up on some Jocko.
You got your milk, which is your protein. They got the milk powder.
Yeah.
They got the milk ready to drink, which is just you pop the top, you're ready to go. Then they got the milk cookies, which is like if you're needing a cookie, but you want that protein, you just get the milk cookie. Now you got the cookie and the protein combination.
They need to start looking into making packs of them like Oreos, but just Jocko cookies.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Little mini ones that you can chew on, you know?
That'd be good.
Have a couple.
Like some Chips Ahoy chewy.
Yeah,
like,
Jocko ones.
Yeah, but they're milk cookies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'll email Jocko. I'll email him.
Yeah. I do need to get some more milk, though.
But I will say I have one of my go-to things throughout the day. You know, I usually eat 4 meals a day.
Yep.
One of those meals is like a combo. So I got some frozen fruit. I'll put that in a blender cup, right? This is how I do it. I do water first into the blender cup about a quarter of the way up. And it's like a 32-ounce cup, so it's pretty big.
Right.
And a Ninja blender, which gets it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So put the water in, put your Wyman's frozen fruit in there. I get that from Publix.
Right.
I'll usually do like 200 grams of like banana strawberry combo frozen, dump it in there. Then 100 grams of the Wyman wild blueberry frozen, dump it in there. No, it's not 160 grams of that. Put that in there. Ha! That's good. Then you put scoop of milk, flavor of your choice. Right now I'm on the mint chocolate chip train. So get a scoop of that, put that in there. That makes it taste like dessert. You put 1 scoop of milk, that's 22 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Then I put 2 scoops of Jocko Greens in there.
Right.
Because the Jocko Greens, I think 1 scoop is for like estimated 2,000 calories. I eat a little bit over 2,000 calories, so I'm like 2 scoops.
Right.
2 scoops of the Jocko Greens pineapple coconut flavor.
Ugh.
Then I get the Jocko creatine, 1 scoop, and it's a small scoop. 1 scoop of that, which is 5 grams of creatine. Put that in there. So I got all my powders.
A lot of flavors in one.
Then on top of that, I put a little
more.
bit more water, and then I get some Chobani Greek yogurt, non-fat.
Oh yeah.
Right, because I'm still, on my weight loss, fat loss phase.
Right.
So I get that Chobani non-fat Greek yogurt, plain.
Yeah.
Get that ready. 9 ounces of that in there. That's getting me a lot of nutrients, calcium, protein. There's a lot of protein in that Greek yogurt too.
Yeah.
Put that in there, top it off with some water, put the top on it, blend it up, good to go.
Sounds like your cup's full.
That's a meal.
Yeah.
That's usually my 3rd meal of the day.
Yeah.
Is I'll have one of those.
You got to drink it.
Yeah, but the milk helps you get that extra protein in there. The greens help to get those micronutrients in there.
Yeah.
And you get the creatine. I mean, it's critical.
Yeah,
critical part of the whole shake, the whole ordeal.
That's a dinner. That's dinner. That's dinner for me.
The Chobani yogurt's good too.
Yeah, I
but
got
you
the
combine them all,
drinkable ones.
you're good. It's like better than ice cream.
Whoa.
Well, sometimes.
Whoa, that's just saying something.
Sometimes you can put 1 or 2 scoops of ice cream in there.
You've had to experiment.
Just to up it up a little bit. Yeah, you play around with it a little bit.
Yeah, you got to, experiment, with the flavors.
So anyway, Jocko Fuel, that's the milk side. We already talked about the greens, those micronutrients. But, I'm into the Jocko Goes, which with Shelby, I had a 50-50 iced tea lemonade. Brought her one, too.
Oh, yeah.
See how she likes it. I'll hit her up for some feedback later. But if you want Jocko Fuel, it's clean fuel, clean supplements, made in America, made for you, made for me, made for America. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Code Singer 101, 10% off of that. And you're supporting the podcast, too. So we're very proud to be partnered with them. But we're also proud to be partnered with some of our digital certificate partners. These are local businesses to the South Carolina Lowcountry that are going to help serve you, right? And we've created this program to help our alumni, our program participants, right? And so the first partner we have is DT Mobile Detailing. David, U.S. Marine Corps veteran.
Yep.
He'll come wash your car at your convenience, which I'm big on because Canine Revolution Dog Training, we are at your convenience too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're coming to your house. David's coming to your house.
Yeah.
If you work at an office and you want your car washed while you're at work, call David. He'll come to your office. Doesn't matter if there's no shade in your parking lot in the middle of the summer because David doesn't like shade. He likes the heat.
He gets after it.
Because he's a former Marine.
Yeah.
He is a Marine. Don't say former. Because I said that one time. He's like, still am.
Oh.
I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Don't piss him off.
DT Mobile Detailing.
Yeah.
Then we got Sharpshooter Pressure Wash, which is pressure washing for your house, pressure washing for your chicken coop, pressure washing for your driveway, for your sidewalks. The owner of Sharpshooter Pressure Wash, technically, Chris Tipton, our trainer, his brother Josh.
Technically.
Yeah. All is Well Somerville, that's your holistic pet care. They got the food, dog food, cat food, dog treats, cat treats.
Allergy tests. They got the raw food. They got the Derma Ease, which is your skin antibiotic. If your dog has a hot spot, put some of that on there. Good to go. Yeah.
Right? Did you ever get your allergy test back?
I did.
What did it say?
What didn't it say? It was a 11-page chart.
Oh, dang. Got a lot of stuff.
A lot of level 3s on there. It was just, there was so much on there. I'm like, I don't even know how to read this, but it goes down by legit breaks every category of every single thing. It seems from food to outside elements to material that is cotton. She's allergic to cotton.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you have a cotton thing on her bed.
Yeah, I know, which I do, and I'm like, what the hell? Because she's level 3 cotton, level 3 allergic,
That's
which
the worst
is the worst one.
Oh gosh!
And I'm like, what the F?
She's in the red zone.
Yeah, and she's level 3 with cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese,
which I give her cheddar cheese.
Don't give her cheese treats. You know
I know,
what I'm saying?
She loves cheese, but she's not allergic to Swiss cheese.
Oh, that's good.
So maybe I'll mix it up for her.
There you go.
American cheese level 1. So
Swiss cheese only then.
Well, yeah.
Provolone cheese?
Yeah.
Provolone cheese?
I don't remember, but it does have it on. They have every cheese on there.
That allergy test that All Is Well has is it's like you said, 11 pages. It's so detailed.
I know.
I haven't looked at Aura's, but I looked at another dog's allergy test, and that thing was huge. And it was green, yellow, red, letting you know what your dog's allergic to so you can tailor what you're doing to your dog's allergies, to avoid them. And then if you take that into All Is Well, they'll help structure a diet program for you that's going to make those allergies as alleviated as possible.
That's my next step then, because she's allergic to some beef stuff. Well, not beef, but beef liver. Allergic to it,
really?
Level 2.
Interesting.
And I used to give her beef liver treats.
Oh, yeah.
A kind of beef liver treats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the F, And their food is, which I get from All Is Well, is beef.
Has beef liver in it?
No, just normal beef.
Oh,
it's whatever the red packaging is.
Oh, yeah.
But she's allergic to some fish. She's allergic to some chicken. So it's what the heck do I give you? Yeah, apparently she's allergic to white rice too.
Oh,
damn. The only rice that is apparently good to go is wild rice. Which I'm like, what the F?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll definitely once I get the allergy test from All Is Well, I definitely would take it into them, review it with them, get their feedback, let them know what kind of diet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely gonna talk to them.
Definitely talk to them, boys. Well, you know, All Is Well has like the raw section, so if you're into raw diets, you can go over to that section. Then they have all their kibbles. They have their canned food. I mean, they have everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So walk in there, tell them that you have the digital certificate, show it to them. You're going to get the perks with them. We're also partnered with Carolina Premier Inspections, which is home inspections, also townhomes, also apartments, also anything you need.
Bob.
So Bob, he'll take care of it, you know. And if there's a problem with your home, if there's a problem with the home you're thinking about buying or the unit that you're thinking about buying, Bob will find it.
Call Bob.
He will find it.
Oh, yeah.
He will find it.
He's a master.
Master inspector certified.
Rare.
Yeah.
Rare title.
He's going to find that problem. He's going to exploit it. He's going to let you know what's going on. I don't know about exploit it.
Yeah.
But he's going to definitely let you know what's going on, what needs to be done. And if you're a buyer of a home or a property, I mean, that's to your advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it lets you know what you're getting into. If you're a seller, that's to your advantage as well. If you get that home inspection done before you put it on the market, because, again, you have the information needed. You have the most robust and informational inspection report possible, right? You could make some changes. You could use it to negotiate in your favor, right?
Yeah.
You can do a pre-drywall inspection. That way you know that the studs and all that are not going to have settlement issues as time goes on. You could also do a maintenance home inspection, which I do every 5 years. Have Bob come out, check the house, let me know any updates that he's seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Super important to stay on top of that stuff. Then you got Bob's other business, which is Carolina Premier Pest Control. Your termite bonds, termite inspections,
Yep.
your in-the-house pest control. If you got ants, he'll take care of it, right? If you
Happened
got
to me.
spiders, he'll
Yeah.
take care of it,
Yeah.
you know? You had the ant problem.
I had the ant problem.
They were coming up the
I
crack.
called Bob. Good to go.
Yeah. What was the problem with the ants?
There was ant hills like where our house was built. There was
Built
like
on an ant
it was built
colony.
on like a colony. They were
Yeah.
underneath the
pad.
the pad,
And they
the
came up through a
foundation.
crack.
That's the word I'm looking for. And they started coming up, and so he put some poison out. You know,
Yeah.
like these little tiny pellets.
Oh, that they take back to the queen.
They take it
Yeah.
back and then
Yeah,
they,
got him.
you know get some.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he gave me some extra bait just in case it
Nice.
came back.
Right, you got the perk.
Yeah,
You
just
show him the
I
digital
call-
certificate. You told him you're with Canine Revolution.
I just called Bob.
Yeah.
He took care of me, boys. Or Bob and Eric.
That's the thing. He will just take care of you.
Yeah.
You know, he'll just get it done.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But you know me, I got the because he also does mosquito control.
Yeah.
If you got like mosquito problems, but you know me, I got the chickens.
Oh yeah.
I got the guineas. They're in my yard. They're
Peacocks.
foraging.
Yeah.
We got the peacocks. They're foraging. They're handling the pests, the yard barrier.
Yeah.
And we had to modify our mosquito treatment plan so that there was no effects on the chickens, the guineas, also the beehives. You know, because mosquito treatments can affect bees too. We didn't want that to be a problem because we need that honey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Bob will do that. He'll customize it to your program. And Bob's a big bird guy. If you talk to him, he's got some birds, but he's a big bird guy, so he wants to make sure the bird is good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Our next partner is the Velasquez Company. That's Antonio
Yep.
and his crew. They do painting, they do fencing, they do some drywall repair. You can ask him; he'll help you out, right? But just like with maintenance of your vehicle, you know, which we have David for, DT Mobile Detailing, maintenance of the exterior of your home with your pressure wash. You also need that paint to be maintained, right? Even your interior paint.
Yeah.
So Antonio, he'll take care of you. Need your fencing painted? He'll do that too.
Yeah.
Right. So get that done. Hit him up. We also got Black Force MMA, which is maintenance for your body, maintenance for your well-being. You know, as the world gets crazier and crazier, you see more stories popping up of, hey, this person was mugged. This person, something happened to this lady. You know, there's that story of the lady in her apartment gym. She's working out.
Yeah.
Dude gets in there. Dude's starting to attack her.
Yeah.
She had some jiu-jitsu knowledge. She was able to defend herself, get away from the aggressor.
Yeah.
You know, but if you knew nothing, you would not be ready for that.
Yeah.
Right? And if you had never trained yourself to be in physical contact with another person, you'd never be ready for that kind of stuff. That's where Black Force MMA Mixed Martial Arts comes in. They have a weight room there you can use. Like if you have kids that do the kids classes there, you can work out while you're waiting for your kids to be done with class.
Yeah.
Then you can do the adult classes if you're an adult. You can do judo, which is like your throws. You can do kickboxing. You can do boxing. You can do jiu-jitsu, which obviously I do. You know what I'm saying? And Dwight, he's been on the podcast. You know, got a big history of stuff. He's also in the Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a world-renowned guy, black belt, there teaching everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So definitely check that out. He also does women's only self-defense classes every so often. So check those out as well. Then we have Cane Bay Chiropractic, which is Doc Anthony. He's been on the podcast twice. I see him once a month to keep my back aligned, back in check, right in Cane Bay over by Publix in South Carolina, Somerville area. So check that out. Get your back in tip-top shape. And, you know, Ben actually forced me to go to Doc Anthony the first time.
Yeah, I did. I was the one that introduced Chad to, because you were complaining about your back, right, or something. Yeah, and I was going to him because I had a back issue, lower back issue, and he told me what was going on. It was my core was weak, my legs. You know, your back muscles pull against your leg muscles.
He'll call you out.
Yeah, he's educating me as well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I need to get Chad over here. And then I literally just scheduled Chad an appointment. And I was like, hey, you got an appointment on this day. And Chad was actually like, what the hell? Like, he was like, didn't want to go. And then he went. And then now he's addicted to going.
Makes a big difference. I mean, when he did the test on me, my back was in the black, which is like the worst level.
Yeah.
My right side of my upper back was in the black,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so we had to do some major adjustments to get that corrected, which we did. Now we're good to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you put a lot of toll on your back more than you think just in your everyday life. So definitely worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Also, we have partnered with Lanzera Defense Strategies, which is Doc Anthony's self-defense business, right? Concealed weapons permit, defensive pistol tactics. Those are his main courses. So you can sign up for those after you get your back adjusted if you want to.
Yeah.
Right? Or you don't have to get your back adjusted. You can still sign up.
Get an adjustment, then go to a class.
Absolutely. Also, new program partner, Aqua Fusion IV Hydration.
Whoa.
This is a Canine Revolution alumni.
Okay.
Yeah, Hank and Rush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so basically you go to them. They can supply your body with vitamins, nutrients, and hydration through an IV. So, you know what this made me think of? Back in the day, you're at college, you're partying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Had one too many, boys.
You got to perform the next day.
Yeah.
So you get up, you run over to Aqua Fusion IV Hydration. You get that nutrient, you get that vitamin, that hydration put right into the bloodstream. Now you can operate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or let's say you got something coming up, you know, you got a big party coming up. You want to be hydrated before you go there. So you go to Aqua Fusion, then you go to the party.
Yep.
Or let's say you got a big event coming up like Walk for the Fallen, 30-mile walk, or a marathon, you know, 26-mile run or triathlon, whatever. You're going to need those nutrients. You're going to need that hydration so you can go before, you can go after, you can go before and after. Get yourself squared away. So check them out there in Somerville, downtown Somerville area.
Nice.
Also working on some other partners. So if you are a business owner, you want to partner with us, let us know. And you can get your digital certificate at www.kineticrewards.com. It's a separate website from our main one. We also have a video on that site that tells you what to do once you download your digital certificate. All right. On YouTube, we have a Pack Talk Podcast YouTube channel. You can watch the episodes there, you know, or you can listen to them on your favorite podcast platform. But on YouTube, we're putting some extra stuff up. So one thing we put up was a guest speech that Antonio did an event for young men. He asked me to come speak about discipline and this and that. So I talked about discipline in a bunch of areas of life, finances, time, you know, routines, other stuff. I totally forgot other things I talked about.
I mean, it was a
pretty
good
in depth.
speech. Yeah.
You know, pretty in depth. So if you want me to be a guest speaker at your event, you can email me, Chad Singer at caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. We can set that up. If you want to watch that speech, you can go to YouTube on our Pack Talk Podcast channel, watch that speech. We titled it Achieving Freedom because we try to hit all the major points of life, you know, time, finances, you know, home maintenance, vehicle maintenance, things that you don't really think about.
Investments.
You know what I'm saying? Investments, definitely. Especially in today's world.
Money management, financial responsibility.
Investments, you got to look at what's coming up. They say that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to be the next big boom. You know, back several years ago, before the internet was a big thing, if you had invested $1,000 into a business like Amazon, it'd be $1 million today because of the boom of the internet.
Yeah.
The AI boom is expected to be in 2030.
Yeah.
So you want to pay attention, get yourself set up right. Don't put yourself in financial hardship. You know, don't put all your money into something like that, but take a percentage, put it in there, you know.
Yeah.
Set yourself up for success. All right, if you are a business owner or a dog trainer, you need someone to talk to, you need a coach, you need a consultant, you can email me too, Chad Singer at caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. We can talk, we can, you know, help you get set up, get squared away. And also, we just want to thank our military, our first responders, our teachers for all you're doing, you know, supporting our country, making sure we can be free, make sure that we're taking care of teachers, raising the next generation. Also, government contractors, you know, supporting the military, supporting the Department of Defense. They go on deployments too.
Yeah.
You know, like we said, teachers raising the next generation, they're doing a lot, you know, and they're doing more than they're underpaid. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting paid for everything they're doing. They have a passion for that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Definitely, you know, very thankful for all you guys. If you need dog training, reach out to us. We'll help you out, get everything squared away. And as always, we like feedback. So please leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform, wherever you are listening to this right now or watching this on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Leave us a review. It helps us beat the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, helps us to reach more people, educate more people. Plus, we like feedback. So if you got feedback on what episodes you like, what episodes you didn't like, or episodes that you want to see, you can reach out. You can let us know. We've got several episodes planned out for the rest of 2023. We got some big topics coming. We're going to be talking about longevity. Of course, we got Veterans Day coming up. We got Halloween coming up.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I'm going to put a giant skeleton in my yard.
I want one of those dog skeletons.
I got one. I got a Frenchie one.
Oh, nice.
But I want to go big on the yard decor this year.
Oh, you're going to go hard.
I
forgot you're a big yard guy.
I need to take a trip to Lowe's and start looking at what I'm going to be getting.
They're putting up the stuff right now.
Are they?
I don't know. I'm sure they are.
I know. Yeah, probably be. Actually,
it'll be soon.
They normally do it like 2 months in advance.
Yeah. So we got some big podcasts lined up. We got Ben's yard getting lined up. He's thinking about it, thinking about the yard plan.
Yep.
You got Christmas right after that.
I know. I got to start planning
Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast. Out.